Yo, so a long time ago, I seen this Muhammad Ali clip. It was a pre George Foreman fight clip. When there was a reporter, he invited the reporter into his dressing room, and this was maybe a day or two outside the fight. And the reporter asked him, why are you so confident that you're going to beat George Foreman? And everybody knows George Foreman. Everybody predicted that he was going to destroy Muhammad Ali. Nobody gave this guy a chance, and his answer was iconic to me. And he said, "I always know what I know," and that's what one of this show right now tonight feels like one of them, because I have some guys, a couple of them, and one in particular that I believe is gonna make you reevaluate what you think about the NFL draft. I really do. But with that being said, let's get it cracking, man. Yo, 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 no maniacs. Don't forget to unmute FFG. Yo, 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 no maniacs. Welcome into the show. Another edition of what is this show called? We got Feed the Bears. We got, we got a bunch of stuff that we do right now. This one is all eyes on future Bears, man. And this is like the treat for me of the week, man. Outside of, I love doing extra sauce with my boys, man. But this is when all the work pays off, and I get to put on display for you guys all the work that I've been doing. I've been listening to so much stuff, looking at so much stuff, and some of this film goes back, in a couple of cases, a couple years ago, or at least a year ago. I'll just say that, about a year ago, up until probably some of the more recent ones, 4 to 5 months, maybe. But some of this stuff is just, you just got to go do the work. You just got to be willing to, just evaluate the tape, man. Don't be listening to what everybody else says about these players, because it really does. When you have to do stuff like this, I think you need to know what the hell you're talking about, man. And I think that's important. And so what I want to say is, I was watching, I'm not going to even say no particular names, but I was watching a show, and it's one of my pet peeves right now, listening to some of these content creators talking about, and they just repeat what everybody else tells them. And this is not a tackle heavy draft. This is not a tackle deep draft. I think that's so much BS. I can't even describe to you how much more BS that is. Because the way I see it in FFG, you might disagree with me or agree, but these tackles and these offensive linemen are much more advanced, bigger, stronger, faster than I have ever seen them. And they're huge in this class. They are huge. Offensive tackles, offensive guards, centers might not be as big, but there's some really good centers in here. I got 2 or 3 of them I'm going to put on display tonight. But that narrative about, this is not a tackle deep draft, that's BS. I'm doing the work every week. That is total BS. I've got a guy for you today, and when I put him on display and you guys go and look at the tape for yourselves, you're going to be like, damn, all this talk about this, this is not a tackle heavy draft, it's BS. It's total BS, and I can tell you 100% fact. It's total BS. But then, I don't want to get caught up on that, because I got so many guys to talk to you guys about, and I don't want to hog it up too much, because my guy FFG look like he's chopping at the bit right now to talk about some stuff, man. We got some other things to talk about. Yeah, I've heard about the salary cap casualties. We'll get to that in just a minute after FFG give out a couple of pleasantries, right?
Yo, 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 what up, no maniacs? The nods, of course, Mr. Rich in the building. First one in, Marco King holding it down. So, yeah, we're going to get into this. There's some exciting young players that we can actually trade back for more picks and build a complete roster that really makes me want to sing. So don't let nobody tell you there ain't this position or that position available in the draft. You just have to be a quality evaluator. And that's really what it is. And what you hear on TV is dudes that hear somebody else say, oh, they ain't no good, or they ain't this or that, because they have never evaluated crap in their life. So we're going to bring it to you hardcore right now.
Well, one in particular, I'm still not going to mention his name, but I seen the show. I would just say it's ESPN 1000. And it's not no particular, it's So somebody asked, hey, what kind of defense are we going to be running? And he answered, like, I have no idea. So I'm like, hold up. Don't they pay you to know to track the Bears and know what the Bears goings on are and know exactly what to look forward to? And he was like, and then later on, somebody asked him, should we draft this edge rusher? And he's like, we should draft this guy. And the guy didn't even totally don't fit what we're about to do. Has no similarities or traits towards what we're about to do. And he was just like, this is who we should draft. And people listening to that. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm not going to get too personal about it because it's not worth it. But golly, man, if you're going to report on the Bears officially and get paid a lot of good money for it, at least know what the hell you're talking about. At least know what we're about to do. You don't even know what scheme the defensive coordinator is going to be running. You don't know what kind of, bodies and traits that these guys are going to need to be able to be a future Bear. But again, that's why you got shows like this to bring them down, man.
Yep. You kill me, Nomad.
Why is that?
This is why people tune in to this show. It ain't a bunch of BS. It ain't a bunch of, well, they told me this and they told me that, and I got a tip from over here. It's about what you see, and about what you know, and about what you experience. And that's probably the only thing you can go by being any fan of anybody at any time. So that's why we bring it to you real, because we real fans.
Man, you guys are going to enjoy tonight's show, man, because every single player that I'm going to pull up on the screen is going to be some guy that I spent some time looking at. And it's not because I like this player. It's not that. It's about what I know about each one of these coordinators and what I think they're going to be doing. I'm more sure about what Dennis Allen is going to do than Ben Johnson. I'm pretty sure about the style of run game that we're going to see in Chicago, and that's the wide zone concept. And for a running back and offensive lineman, that's a certain kind of thing. It's like the concept is to stretch defenses, get them going one direction so that you can counter and boot play action off the other. But for running backs in particular, it's a delayed concept. It's a delayed concept because it's setting up basically running tracks for the running back. There's a two-track scenario. It's one cut and get up the field. You got the basic cut. Let's just say if it was a stretch to the right, a 46, you trying to get outside the tackle, right, FFG? And so the run play is designed to go outside the tackle. But if it's not, it's designed so that either the center or the guard gets to the next level and gets up on top of the linebacker to give you that second lane to run it. Right? And so you got that cutback lane, but it's all about delayed. You don't have to burst through the hole and be aggressive. You got to watch that thing set up and play out, and then you see the two running tracks that you get. So that's how it's set up on offense. Defense, I know exactly what Dennis Allen wants to do. It's not that complicated, man. He's gonna tack up and play man to man on the second half of the field, and he's gonna have versatile, big men up front that can change from edge rusher to sometimes kick him in there and play some D tackle. It's going to be guys that are playing all over the place, and you need certain types of players. So he needs tweeners on the defensive line and linebackers that really run and tackle, but really fast football players and aggressive. That's what I know he wants. And so that's not hard to detect when it comes to Dennis Allen. So one more time around, you want to talk about that one more time, man, before I get to this news of this cap casualties? You want to speak on that?
Well, what I'm looking at is the mindset is going to change on both offense and defense. And the players have to be ready for it, because I know the coaches already are. And the ones that are already the pros that have been doing it and been done it, which is basically our defensive coordinator, our defensive line coach, linebackers coach, offensive line coach, them dudes can easily assimilate to what we have going on everywhere else. You know what I mean? DB coach, off the chain. So they're going to a secondary coach, and I guess that's the promotion he got. But we're going to be able to establish different lines of scrimmage going forward. And that is the most exciting portion of this conversation we're going to have today. Establishing a line of scrimmage is going to be the most important thing that we're going to discuss.
Yeah, that is important. And, you got to get like a couple of guys we're going to talk about. It's going to be, you'll see when we get to the particular players, man. But, I do go out. And again, I don't, it's just not me going out and looking at players from all over the country and say, I like this guy. Let me put him on the screen. Let me tell everybody about this guy. No, it's about what I think fits in the particular two coordinators that we have schemes. That's what it's all about. Like I could tell you right off the top, as much as I like it was a year ago when Chop Robinson was coming out. I love that guy and wanted to talk about him. But I knew he was a 34 edge rusher. He's a 3-4 defense guy. To be a 4-3, a really strong 4-3 edge rusher, to be a starting one. You could be somebody that's in the rotation as a pass rusher only, right? So you can be that guy that can come in on third, fourth downs, whatever down it is, pass rushing down, and really give production. Or you can be that big, sturdy guy that Dennis Allen wants to play all three downs and that can move inside, outside, and play all kinds of different techniques. If you're this little 245, 250 pound, 6-foot edge rusher, that's really not going to fit in what we're doing. So far, Dennis Allen has shown no signs of being attracted to that player in his 4-3 defense. As much as I like some of these guys, Abdul Carter, I think he's going to be a stud. I just think he's going to be a stud for a 3-4 defense. It's just the comparison of schematics. It's all it is. It's not that you don't like the player. I think schematically, the more and more we get forward, and I think we're going to see that in the next couple, 2 or 3 weeks as they start to free agency period starts and we start to sign guys, you're going to get an idea of exactly what they're looking for. And so in the free agent market, you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about. So you want anything else, FFG?
Nah, I just want to give a shout out to Paul Rodriguez, Sophisticated Thoughts, and Bears fan Goomba for joining the chat. I know people still trickling in, so if you want the thoughts heard, let us know, baby.
And you got to hit the subscribe button if you're listening and you're not part of the live chat and you want to chat about some of these guys we put on the screen. Hit the subscribe button. That's all you need to do. Come on in here and chat with us, man. Let me get a couple of more comments. Go ahead, FG.
No, just hit that like button too, man. That really helps out. So let us get out there into your mind and into your brain and let us really focus on the things that the Bears can do to really show out for a change.
All right, so let's get to the news of the day. What up, Nick? We're gonna have Bears fan Goomba on Nomad at Night Sunday, man. Hopefully everything works out. He can come on, and because I ain't heard from him since the draft. Yeah, I ain't heard from him since then, so it's gonna be interesting to hear what he's thought about everything that happened since then. I'm gonna be real interested to hear that. What's going on, man? So let's get right to the business, man. Let's get right to the business. Cap casualties, man. Early cap casualties. I'm just going to shut up and tell me what you thought about this.
I thought that was the kind of move that puts your kind of system in place. And this was for both sides of the ball. So that's $11 million they just added to free agency for the type of players they wanted to get. And it's not over, y'all. That's the thing. Get rid of Joe Everett, and so you're telling me you're getting a pass catching tight end and a blocker. That's 2 positions you got to fill. And you're going to get rid of your starting defensive end. That tells me another thing. So either you're going to be bullish in the draft or you're going to pay somebody or trade for somebody. So that tells you how aggressive the Bears are getting ready to be going forward, straight up.
So I seen this And let me be clear when I say this. I think Gerald Everett's a really good football player, and I think he just got lost in the sauce here in Chicago in a situation. He found himself in a situation where he couldn't really excel the way I know he can. I've seen Gerald Everett wherever he's gone. I've seen a much better Gerald Everett. But all of a sudden, he got here and he didn't forget how to play football. He just got lost in the sauce. It's really all it was. And naturally, he was brought in to be Shane Waldron's guy, and so that was probably an ask from Shane Waldron, and they acquired the guy. He just got lost in the sauce here, man. Gerald Everett's gonna be fine wherever he goes. He just didn't, I think, fit the plans going forward, and just a natural reaction to everything that's happened in this entire season. He doesn't fit what Ben Johnson wants to do moving forward. But the more impactful one was DeMarcus Walker. I really thought DeMarcus Walker would be a good fit to what Dennis Allen wanted to do. He's a tweener. He's one of those tweener bodies, man. He's a D tackle. He's an edge rusher. But what I think is going on is setting up FFG. It's not about the actual move. It's what the move actually sets up. What do they have in mind? I keep telling you guys, I said this. I even put a short out on it yesterday, I think. And I said that, I had two names to keep an eye on if I were you guys. It would be defensive tackle David Onyemata. If he gets cut and if he becomes one of the cap casualties down in Atlanta, keep an eye on him. Because Dennis Allen's had a lot of success with this guy that can play both 3-tech and nose guard. He's comfortable at each. And so could DeMarcus Walker be one of those? Do they think they can get an upgrade at that spot? Because I see DeMarcus as more of a D tackle than I seen him as a D end, even though he took a lot of D end reps. I see him more as a D tackle. I think that's where he's going to have his most success in the future. But I would think about David Onyemata getting cut in Atlanta, and I would think about Chase Young. Are they trying to set this up for a move in free agency that they can afford with this money?
That is actually a very interesting concept. I think they're setting up in a lot of different ways, though. I think they're freeing up as much cap space as they want to have going forward, and plus the flexibility to be able to get exactly what they want. And I'm not sure if those players are exactly what they want, because now they can pick and choose and they can take larger swings because they're going to still be able to build through the draft this year. And every draft pick they take, since most of their top picks are in the top 100, you know what I mean? And they got a couple of 6 rounds where you can actually pick up quality players. That 5th, 6th round, they're kind of early. And I'm looking at Howie R. Bears, his draft. I just can't.
Well, you got to read it out. You got to realize there's people listening to the show and watching.
Running back, Travis Etienne at 139. He's going to be 5'8", and 205 pounds. Like Smith in the middle.
Hold on. You got to tell them who exactly it is that made the comment and then read it.
Well, I said Howie R. Bears.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, so he's got running back Trev Etienne at 149. Says 5'8", 205 pounds. Like Swift, but he runs up the middle, finishes hard. Now, I know this kid can catch the ball. Some comps, Westbrook, Marshawn Lloyd, Aaron Jones, Genty, Tiki Barber, Eckler. I'm assuming it's Thurman Thomas and Frank Gore. That's a lot of different body types and running styles to compare them to. But if you're only talking about catching the ball, yeah. But running, not exactly the same for half of them dudes. And it all depends on the offensive line that you're going to put them behind. So that is where that's going to fluctuate, because a lot of them dudes played in different eras where they ran the ball differently and have different styles of running the ball based on the passing game behind them. And a lot of these teams weren't run-first offenses either.
I get what he's saying. He's basically saying that the body type and the running style, like every one of these guys, I know exactly what he means. This guys that got twitched up running styles is what he's saying. I know exactly what he's trying to get at, so, except for a couple of them like Frank Gore. You know what? Frank Gore was a bigger running back, but he was
bigger running back, right? That's what I said. Everybody's going to say
he was twitchy as well, though, man. Frank Gore is twitchier than people think he was. But I definitely get what you're saying, how we are Bears. Then let's get to a couple more comments, man. I got a running back in here too, by the way. It's gonna kind of y'all gonna be like, oh, okay, wait till y'all see him. All right, let's get to it though, man. Any more comments about the cap casualty situation and where you think they might go after this? Any more thoughts on it?
Yeah, I really think this is where you build the way your coaching staff wants the trenches to go. So now, if you want a specialty item like a safety or a receiver, then that's where you make your lobby and play with the way they're doing this, or a tight end like my offseason I have Mo Alley Cox. So maybe that's more of his style, a bigger, tight end to be able to block and still catch passes. You know what I mean? So we have no idea what bugs have been put in the ear of Ben Johnson so far based on the coordinators that he has that are experienced. So they're probably saying, hey, look, this is what I need. Or, hey, look, and he's probably making a decision too. I don't want to pay this because I can go get this. And this is way more effective for what I want to run. And I think that is the most important thing that people don't look at that's going in this year that we haven't seen in a long time, that the coaching staff is actually determining the future of the Bears rather than just the play on the field determines the play on the field.
What I see going on is the natural roster turnover that happens every time there's a coaching change. That's the first thing to be understood about, is there's going to be some natural roster turnover because every coach comes in with his virtues about what he sees this position as. What do I want from this tight end? I want him to look like this, play like that. What do I want from this edge rusher / defensive tackle from Dennis Allen? I want him to be this. I want him to be that. Okay, Ryan Poles, we're going to leave it to you. This is what I want. How does this fit into how you want to structure your salary cap? Okay, unfortunately, we might have to let go of these two guys. It's not that they can't play. I 100% believe DeMarcus Walker could have excelled in this defense, but I think they're looking for something else. They're looking for an upgrade. And so I think we're in that process where they're going to turn this thing over. You got to turn it over and spill some stuff out so that you can fill it back up with something better. You know what I mean? This is where we're at. This is just where we're at right now, man. So, I love DeMarcus Walker. I'm a Florida State fan. Loved him when he was there. I don't like the fact that he's not going to be on the team no more because I thought he brought a certain kind of temperament and attitude to this team that I really, really liked. It was only him and, to me, Tyreek Stevenson that brought that kind of temperament to the defense. You know what I mean? And so I know that they're going to bring other guys in here and it's going to be different. But I definitely like what he brought to the table. Last thoughts on this before we get to the Ian Cunningham news.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. Sometimes you need some ass kickers out there, and that's just real deal Holyfield. So what I think they're going towards is their style of football on both sides of the ball, where they see a deficiency on what they can do better as. And it's not going to stop. I mean, there's probably going to be another 10, 12 players cut that are making some money. And they say, okay, we're going to spend this money on this, and this. And everybody's going to get their little, push in there, say what kind of running back you need, what kind of safety you need, what kind of defensive end, defensive tackle, tight end, running, whatever. It's going to be all those situations that now that free agency is getting ready to start, they're going to the draft. They're going to say, okay, yep, I need this, and this, and this, and this in free agency, and I'm going to draft this, and this going forward. And that's how the Bears are going to be better, because they're going to be able to train them the way everybody wants their system to run on the overall change of the organization as far as schematically.
All right. Well, I'm going to get this down off the screen so we can talk about the next. I didn't do a graphic for this, but looks like Ian Cunningham didn't get the job in Jacksonville. And I think everybody had these couple of picks booked in the kitty and counting them as we're going to get this, we're going to get this, we're going to get some extra picks because Ian Cunningham is going to get the job. I never thought, 1 second he was going to get that job. I know he should be glad he didn't get that job because Duval is down there running that thing as the head coach. I didn't think Ian Cunningham. So what they ended up doing was getting one of the scouts from the Rams. Rams had a really good scouting department, man. They have replenished that roster on a different. Everybody was expecting 2 to 3 years to 5 years, and when the Rams would be a competitive team because they lost so much. They lost so much. They lost a lot. And they were able to get in the draft, accumulate some picks, and really, really draft well. And that was a standout feature of that organization this offseason. And they went that's what I would have done if I was if I was the owner of one of these teams, this is what I'm going to go find somebody that's had some success building a roster, and we can go from there. And that's what they did. They went and got somebody from the Rams organization that they were confident in instead of Ian Cunningham that, we did have a couple of little spurts of some decent football where I was just like, all right, I like what we got going on here. That the end of the season last year, that season was pretty good. We finished off pretty strong in the very beginning of this one. And you start to feel like, okay, we got something going on here. And it all went to SHIT for all kinds of different reasons, man, but Ian Cunningham has nothing on his resume that screams to me he should be hired as a GM. I never thought he was going to get this job. And he probably should be glad that he didn't. I don't think they're in a good spot.
I differ a little bit in this way. The Ian Cunningham kept Ryan Poles from being a worse GM. And he helped them make a lot of quality decisions.
We don't know that.
Well, even though what they were saying, even about the Roma Doomsday thing last year, they wouldn't be in the position they're in if he wasn't helping. Because he came from Baltimore, where they're a better run organization at the time, by far, than the Bears were 3, 4, 5 years ago. You know what I mean? They already had their stuff together. And they had already won a Super Bowl. Ozzie Newsome was there. So I can't say that this guy didn't know his stuff, and he was probably surprised that Ryan Poles got the job ahead of him. But now he's been working to be a GM. He even turned down jobs. It's not like he can't get hired. He turned down a job 2 years ago.
I know he can get a job, but
right. So
conventional wisdom says if you want to go and grab a guy.
Jacksonville is not the ideal situation.
Show me a situation where you've been successful. And I think, you might consider some of the draft picks that we had some very successful draft picks. They've drafted well, and he's been sitting right alongside Ryan Poles doing it. But how everything has turned out, how everything's fit together. I'm not trying to give Ian Cunningham slack like he doesn't deserve a GM job, but conventional wisdom would say, show me where you can show me how you did something to transform what y'all got going on. I don't see it.
Well, in this case, the coaching has killed them, and the front office has let them down in certain ways. So, yeah, I can't say he's actually put together anything that's worth a damn because they haven't, other than the 7-9 season since I really been paying attention, other than he was assistant at a program that was winning 12, 13 games a season. So coming to the Bears, it's been lackluster. And unfortunately, the Bears organization has been lackluster. So, and right now, Jacksonville is hella lackluster.
And you know what, FFG?
You couldn't do something with that?
FFG, I'm glad that I think Ian Cunningham has some. I just checked the guy out, and I think he brings something to the table, and I'm glad he's back here because at the end of the day, when it comes time to pull that lever, when you go make a pick, 4 eyes are better than 2. You know what I mean? 4 eyes and are better than 2. And he's got Ryan Poles he's his confidant, man, and I think that's a good formula in a front office to have another guy to bounce that last idea off before you pull that lever. And I'm glad he's back here, and I know he's going to get a job at some point. But I just don't think he's put enough skins on the wall. I think that's the bottom line. That's the reason why he probably didn't get it.
Well, that could be the case, but the guy that got the job, he hadn't done nothing either. He was a scout. So, and the Rams, yep, when they sold out and they actually had to have almost no draft picks, he went out and got a bunch of quality players for them. I can't be mad at that guy. And I think that the situation in Jacksonville, let him take that position, because what we have now can actually be a benefit to the Bears rather than a hindrance. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I let Cunningham stay for another year. And then next year, when he goes out and be the GM of the Giants or somebody who's still struggling, then he could actually move to that big market once the Bears have won a playoff game and say he's actually done something where he actually was integral, by all means. But at this point, you're right. He hasn't really shown the prowess because the team has not performed.
He's come from some winning cultures. Anytime you've been in Baltimore and you've been in Philadelphia, you picked up some things. Fundamentally, I'm talking about how you assess players, how you assess how to do things. I'm talking about salary cap wise, the future, and just being able to cold hard evaluate talent and know what to grab and bring into your building to change the dynamics of your team. I don't think they've done bad at that. I think they had a couple of swings and misses, and situationally, I think is why certain things played out the way they played out. And I'm not saying they've been perfect. They have been less than that. But I think Ian Cunningham has some – I give him props, man. I think I liked his background more than I liked Ryan Poles' background, be truthful with you. You know what I mean? Because he came from 2 winning cultures. You got to love that. That alone gives me – you're going to get some prestige from me just because of that. You know what I mean? You come from Baltimore and Philly and been in those buildings and see how they operate, that's going to bring something to the table, right? You got to understand that. You've been around those organizations and seeing how they operate, how they flawlessly attack the offseason and acquire the players that they acquire, whether it be in free agency, timing and doing that, and also in the draft. That's some really good stuff they do, man. And so I'm not no less a fan of Ian Cunningham. I just don't think he had the resume to get that job. I really don't.
You know what? I mean, it's all about results in the NFL. And so regardless of what program or system you've been involved in and organization, if you go somewhere else and you create results, then that's basically it's an indictment on you that you didn't pick up enough. You didn't do this. You didn't do that. And it's not always the case, but we're going to see what the Bears turn out to be. And that's really going to be where he's going to win and lose his opportunities going forward. So
right.
I'm glad he's got with the Bears. Yep. Can he actually do the job? I mean, people wanted to hire him 2 years ago and he turned down a job. So I don't think it's the lack of knowledge or information that he possesses, but it's also going to be what he has to put on his resume to make it look good enough where people are like, okay, yeah. And this draft and this free agency is really going to tell a tale of whether the Bears turn the corner or they're the same old Bears.
Yeah, you're right, man. But we'll have some further conversations about this a little bit later on, man. But for now, man, I'm gonna drop you out so I can go over these players and talk about them for a few. Then we're going to bring you back in to close it out, man. Talk a little bit more about some of the stuff you saw in these players. We're going to close it out like that, have some comments from the viewers, and we're going to run it like that. But I'm going to not hold these people too much longer and give them what they came here for, man. We're going to see these ballers.
Yes, sir.
All right, be back in a minute. All right, here we go, man. We're going to get some guys up on the screen right now. First player is an edge rusher, of course. Nomad, and these edge rushers in this defense, yes, I'm about this defense, man. And I think it's as important as anything else we're going to do moving forward is making sure you got the defense and you got the right pieces and and that player has the right traits. Elijah Roberts, defensive end from SMU, 6'3", 290-pound senior. Listen, you look at this guy right here on the screen right now. You look at him, and you're like, where's the 290 pounds? And it's hard to detect when you're looking at this graphic right here because this graphic doesn't really give you a sense of how big and how strong this kid is. He ended up, I think, at the Shrine Bowl, and he dominated that thing down there. The one-on-one workouts, I mean, he is a horse. And the kind of bodies that not Ben Johnson, but Dennis Allen is looking for are tweeners. He likes guys that can really set the edge and be dominant in that part of the game. And, being dominant and stout against the run game is as important as earning the right to rush the passer. And so this guy right here has particular traits. And I'm going to read it off. This position versatile, that's number one. That's the thing to circle about Elijah Roberts. Powerful. I mean, really powerful, man. This dude's got a horse of a lower body and dominant in every area. Great motor, man. He never stops the whole game, man. You never see him take plays off. This dude brings it. And that's one of those traits that I see in Dennis Allen's defense. Guys that really bring it, have that motor, have that intensity. I mean, he's not that toolsy pass rusher that you might be looking for in this draft, and you might be thinking that this is a better situation for the Bears. No, man, I think what they do collectively as a group, talking about what Dennis Allen does, is they attack, it's a four-man approach. It's every guy crush this situation with some violence, some intensity, and some suddenness about it. And he's got every bit of what I know Dennis Allen is looking for. He ain't going to be one of those guys that come off the board early. It's going to be a later pick. And later on in the draft, you can really bolster your roster with the dude of this caliber. Wait until you see him on film and see what I'm talking about. He's a powerhouse, straight powerhouse. He is not Von Miller and toolsy like that, no. But he gets the job done. He gets to that quarterback and causes disruption early and often off that edge. Check Elijah Roberts out, 6'3", 290 pounds out of SMU. You're going to like him. This kid right here he's got a story. So tackle Gerald Mincey, 6'6", 335 pounds senior out of Kentucky. Now he's had an interesting past, man. He was one of those 5-star recruits, and he signed with Florida. That was his initial signing. I think he spent a year there and transferred to Tennessee. Spent a year there and transferred to Kentucky, and he finds himself where he is. Let me give you the pros and cons. The pros is that these kinds of traits, being 6'6", 335 pounds, very strong. Nobody's going to bull rush this kid. Nobody. Absolutely nobody. He can sit down on anybody in football, whether it be in the college level or on the NFL level. He can sit down and stop that. Why I think his traits will really excel is I don't think I don't want to undercut what I think this guy can bring to the table because I really don't know. He can get with a coach inside this building and, they can really see some traits in him and say, you know what, let me fix up this, let me work on that. And I think we have ourselves a tackle. That can very well happen. But what I really realistically see with Gerald Mincey is him kicking inside the guard because his power is overwhelming. I mean, it is overwhelming. When I tell you he gets down on people in the run game, I mean, his presence is, he's got a nasty temperament too. He's got a very nasty temperament. But I think as a tackle, you playing Kentucky plays against the best competition in the world. Where I've seen the flaws where, the twitchier, toolsier pass rushers that can come with a move and a half. And so, let's just say, this kept showing up on tape. a quicker edge rusher would speed rush him on the outside a couple times in a row. And then on the third time, he'd turn it back on the inside, spin back inside, and he'd get this kid so off balance. And it was obvious, like, dog, you are oversetting, and these aren't traits about a tackle that can't be fixed. These are things that can be fixed. He's got the foot speed, but that definitely showed up on the screen in watching the games, man. The quicker, toolsier pass rushers, man, they did numbers on him. So I believe Gerald Mincey is gonna bring something to the table. If we draft him, I think he's gonna transition to a guard, and I think he's gonna be just like you would think about Mekhi Becton, somebody that's a 5-star recruit, goes to a big college, and he ends up getting drafted as a tackle, and that doesn't work out too well. You can be rigid, or you can be a compromising figure and figure out, like, this guy's got too many really good traits about him. How do I get the most out of this football player? Gerald Mincey has got he is a blue chip trait football player. It's about where you want to put him so that he can really excel. A guy like Dan Rochard has got skin in the game and been around it for a long time and knows what to do with a football player like this. He knows he's got quality when he's looking at this kid's body. Look at this dude. This dude don't even have shoulder pads on. He's a horse. He's a horse, and this is everything the Bears need. Be front to move people around. Kick this cat inside the guard, and you got you something. Nasty finisher, man. I mean, he's better in his athleticism is better than I'm discussing right now and I'm describing. He's got great athleticism, and he can be really good pass protector. It's about finding the coach that can really get that out of him consistently. He's moved around too much and found no consistency. And so Gerald Mincey, again, is a blue chip piece. It's about giving him some consistency, putting him in a position and leaving him there and letting him get some reps in one place, getting one coach to talk to him and just one guy, one voice in his ear to really get him where he needs to be. And you got yourself a stud right here. You cannot get better than 6'6", 335 pounds, and a pure athlete. He's not a big plodding guy. He's a real good athlete. Moves very well. And so this is one of those guys that, he probably thought he would be a first rounder in the first 10, 20 picks, but I don't think he's going to fall in that category. He's going to slide because the consistency is going to show up, or lack thereof, on the screen. But if you get your hands on this guy later on in the draft and you don't have to reach for him, you're going to have you a stud if you got the right O-line coach in the building to get him where he needs to be. I like this guy, man, and I love the tenacity about how he plays. He's nasty. Very nasty for a big guy, and that's hard to find. So let's get to the next guy. Logan Brown, offensive tackle out of Kansas, 6'6", 312 pounds. Perfect NFL tackle frame, powerful hands. He's very athletic, very athletic. I think that's one of the traits that I've been noticing about a lot of the tackles and the guards in this draft. And again, man, it's like when I hear these people talk about, what this draft is or isn't when it comes to the offensive line, in particular tackles. And when you do the work like me and you're willing to watch a game or two or three to get a good evaluation of some of these players, Logan Brown is going to be a really solid. He's going to be a starting left tackle or right tackle on somebody's team. He's going to be a starter. Maybe not day one, but he's going to land on somebody's team and they're going to have them a starter for a long time. He's got every trait that you're looking for. Every trait, the foot quickness, being able to mirror, and his pass protection really stuck out to me. I thought that was the more dynamic part of his game, was his pass protection ability. I'm not saying that he's perfect in pass protection, but you're not going to sit here and tell me that this tackle class is weak when I'm looking at players like this consistently be a brick wall to pass rushers. He is one of those guys, man. And I think once you look at him on tape, you'll be able to tell that, okay, this guy's got those traits, being 6'6", 312 with those long arms and those big, powerful hands that he has. Learning the game on the next level is going to be every one of these guys is, that's going to be the hurdle they need to jump. And that's going to be the same for Logan Brown. I think he's got everything you need for a tackle. It's about coaching him up and getting him where you need him to be. So check him out. Logan Brown, tackle out of out of Kansas, 6'6", 312-pound junior. He's one of those guys that probably won't get drafted very early, but somewhere second, third round, I expect this guy to come off the board. He's good enough to get in this draft and come off the board before the middle of the draft. I would just say that. That's my thoughts on Logan Brown. Let's get to the next guy. It's going to surprise you guys. So if you guys haven't, we got to get some HBCU love up in here, man. Give a shout out to the HBCU draftees, man. He ended up, I think he got invited to Irv Mulligan, 5'10", 205-pound senior out of Jackson State. He broke Walter Payton's single season rushing record. That needs to account for something. But when I look at these running backs, first thing I'm doing is really evaluating how they're reading. How do they read? Now, he's not going to be that kid that you come in here is going to play every down, is going to be your pass blocking running back. No, he's not going to be that. He's going to be a situational running back. So when you're trying to build a thunder and lightning concept, he's got a lot of the Jahmyr Gibbs traits that you like. He looks like a lot of Aaron Jones, really hits the hole, accelerates when he sees it, and he's off in a blur. My understanding is I think he ran a 4.5 either at his pro day or at that Shrine game, whatever it was. I heard he ran a 4.5. And you hear a lot of scouts and people on TV talking about that's going to, really, I don't think he was going to really get drafted anyway. I think he's going to be at UDFA. But the bottom line is the quality is there. The quality is there. I mean, he is extremely sudden. Extremely sudden. When I look at him, his game tape, when I look at him play football games, 4.5 is nothing that I see. I don't see 4.5. I don't see 4.5. All I know is I see hella game speed and acceleration. Reading the blocks and really attacking the seam. Really, really attacking and getting up the field. And before you know it, he's 30 yards down the field and nobody's touched him. Time and time again, Irv Mulligan is going to be given the right situation and given the right opportunity. Irv Mulligan is going to be a player. Mark my words when I tell you, in a year or so, somebody's going to be like, man, I remember you mentioned him on this show, man. No, man, this dude he's one of them ones, man. He's one of them ones ain't nobody talking about. But just because he came from an HBCU, I can see right through that. He's got NFL-type skill set. He can play on this next level and play at a high level when he gets here. You just got to go to the right situation. And a situation like ours, where you're looking for that thunder and that lightning, this is one of those lightning options you have on the table, man. Irv Mulligan is a baller. Just telling you that right now. I can't wait till y'all look at his film and come back and tell me what you saw. But Irv Mulligan is a baller. Let me get to, I see there's a couple of comments in there. Take this down. Let me see here. What up, Minister Charles? AC Adam just bounced up into peace. All right, man, we're going to keep going, y'all. We're going to keep going. We still got quite a bit of football players to get to. Hold on, my mouse went dead on me again, man. Hold on. All right, hold on. Here we go. Next guy up, we did. This is interesting. So this is 6'5", 320-pound senior Nash Jones. Let me tell you how I came across this guy. He's from Texas State, very, very small school, up and coming school, but don't nobody really know about Texas State. Nobody knows. So one night I was at the crib and my girlfriend wasn't off yet. She got off, I think about 12 that night, but about 9 that evening, I turned on the game. And this has to be about a year ago. So Nash Jones, 6'5", 320-pound senior out of Texas State, has played a couple of positions. He is definitely position versatile. And so he started off at Texas State playing left tackle, and he played it well. So that's the first game that I've seen him in, playing against Baylor as a left tackle. And Baylor's got some pretty solid edge rushers, man. That's one of the, I think that's the highest competition I've seen him play. I've seen him play against Arizona State. I've seen him play against Baylor. Those are the two games that I focused on when I started looking at him. So first, the one that happened initially was Baylor. It was Baylor. I'm watching him late at night, and he is dominating these guys. He is dominating them. And I'm just like, who is this? And I don't particularly watch games with the intention, not that night anyway, with the intention that I'm going to be scouting offensive linemen. That's not really what I'm looking at when I'm watching games naturally. I look at defense most of the time. But this cat just kept showing up. And I'm just like, hold on. It was a couple of times when a guy got around him, but he was able to recover and didn't cause a bad play or anything. But man, I was like, hold up. And so I remembered that. And so, I got Texas State on my list of guys to look at. So I had forgotten all about Nash Jones. And so I get back to Texas State and looking at the players that are draftable. And he came up. I was like, seemed like I remember this name. So pulled him up. I was like, oh, it's that dude. Now he's playing guard and totally dominating. Totally dominating. He made some money, I think, down at the Shrine Bowl, too. He made himself some money. This guy is going to be a stud. He is a dancing bear. Nimble. And that's the key thing about him. To be a guy this big and to be as nimble as he is with those quick feet and that bouncer type mentality that he has, that attitude, bro. I'm telling you, somebody is going to get them something when they pick this guy up. There's nothing about this kid, if you have the nerve to go and look at him on film, that you won't like. He is a perfect guard, perfect, athletic. I mean, the athleticism and the way he moves, I keep thinking about Tevin Jenkins. And I think Tevin Jenkins is a really solid football guard. I think he might have missed some opportunities playing tackle. Nevertheless, I think athletically, this guy is light years ahead of Tevin Jenkins. Athletically, he moves so much better. He is so fluid in the hips and bends his knees. So it's just natural. One of the things you noticed about Tevin Jenkins, he's just not a natural knee bender. And he's stiff sometimes. This guy is everything opposite of that. Nash Jones is going to be one of those guys we look at in a few years and going to be like, how did we miss this kid? He is going to be, it's like, I think about the Bears and what they need to do. And it just keeps coming back to drafting the right players, knowing them, identifying them, and being confident about it and drafting them and getting them in the building and starting to develop them and getting them where they need to be. I say he gets into a system that has developmental capabilities. And I hope that we have that now. And he turns into your Trey Smith. He turns into Trey Smith. And so to me, the really good teams, you have to identify these guys right here. Nash Jones, 6'5", 320 pounds out of Texas State. Stud at a teeny tiny ass school. But you just got to be willing to look at the tape. I can't wait till you guys at least find some highlights on this kid. You don't want to look at a Texas State game, find some highlights on him. They're bound to be out there. But I'm telling you, you're going to see what I'm talking about when you start looking at him. He's one of the more impressive, pure guards that I've seen, period. Man, I think he's going to be a stud on the next level. He just needs to get in the right opportunity. Let's get to the next guy. Oh, yeah. Got to get to some centers. And so let me preface this conversation about the centers and let you guys in on what I'm looking for the most part. And this is just me particularly. To me, over the years of me watching football, I've noticed that the better centers that have come through the NFL have a certain body type. They're kind of made like a fire hydrant or a bowling ball. It's got that certain kind of build, and they're really, really steady. Really, really steady. And what I mean by steady is you got clean fundamentals when it comes to the run game. They really execute well in the run game, hit their target points, and rise to the next level. They're clean in their pass process. I'm looking for all of that. And not only that, be a good communicator, solid communicator. There's no hiccups when he goes to the line of scrimmage and he points out what he needs to point out to communicate to the people around him. Really, really clean. That's what I mean by clean. Those three things right there. And the steadiness in how he plays, man. Versatile. And he can play guard too. I've seen that on film. He's done that. He's a Kentucky. He's a standout, man. He's been the anchor for that O-line for some time, man. To me, that has a lot of value. Stout lower body. And he played against the top competition in the country. You can't really find higher competition than he played against. In the SEC, you're going to find the biggest, strongest bodies in the country. And you can't get, that's the next best thing you can deal with to the NFL. And he held his own against the bigger dudes. I've seen him play against Georgia twice. Stackhouse, Nazir Stackhouse was just stoning him. Nazir Stackhouse is a huge guy. Huge. I mean, he just stoned them the whole game. And whoever else they put in front of him. Because technically and fundamentally, he's sound and plays really, really clean football. This is the kind of kid that you bring in knowing that you have, what's his name, Ricky Stromberg, and you're hoping he comes back and he might be your future. But in case you draft a guy like center Eli Cox from out of Kentucky, this guy is steady Eddie, man. And you just can't, I dare somebody to go look at his game and say, you know what, Nomad, he is steady. And this is exactly what you're looking for, that body, that frame, that stout. And, he's got the I think he's got the ability to put on another 10 pounds of muscle. And this is going to add to him. So none of these guys are, how they come into the league is how they end up, man. He's going to naturally put on some weight. And hopefully it's some really good weight. But I do like what I've seen in him. He wouldn't be on the screen if I didn't. I like Eli Cox. Go take a look at him, 6'4", 311-pound senior out of Kentucky, man. I think you guys will like him too. Let's see what we're talking about out here. FFG talking to everybody. What's good, Marlon? What's good, y'all? I still got more coming, man. Y'all gonna like this stuff. I'm saving a couple of my best ones for last, man, because those guys I really want to have a conversation about. Because when I said at the cold opening that I'm gonna make you reevaluate what you think about this draft, tell me these last couple of players I got that I'm gonna show you. You're gonna see, but we're gonna get there. We're gonna build up. All right, let's get to. Let's see here. We just do here. Nash Jones, we did Eli Cox. All right, so I'm gonna let you guys know FFG might have he might have a different way of looking at running back Phil Maffa out of Clemson, 6 foot, 238-pound senior. Minister Charles is gonna like this running back if he hasn't seen him already. I'm pretty sure he probably has, but you talking about and to be honest, he's had some nicks and bruises. He ain't been always available for Clemson. You know what I mean? And that's just regular. He's a workhorse of a running back type of things that's going to happen, man. This guy, I mean, when I tell you, it's hard to find a 238-pound running back with the downfield speed that he has. It is hard. It is hard to find a kid. This is pretty much a 240-pound running back that has long speed. Long speed. Now you didn't mistake. I didn't mistake none of that. He has a long speed. He will break it open for a 70, 80-yard run and score. That's hard to find. You just don't typically find a 238, 240-pound running back with this kind of speed. And so when we were talking about this stuff earlier, we're talking about the wide zone scheme and how the concepts are pretty much kind of a delayed system for a running back. You have to read. And so you're not just hitting a hole and taking off and just like an ISO run or nothing like that. No, you got to wait and see which one of these tracks come open so that you can press that hole. And so to me, what they do in Clemson really, really sets up well for what they want to do here. And if you want to pound teams and really, really put teams at your mercy, and you got the offensive line to prove that you can really put teams at your mercy, get a running back like Phil Maffa that can really punish people. That true horsepower in his lower body. I cannot wait until he shows up at the combine. I'm pretty sure he's going to be there. I cannot wait till he shows up at the combine and he's out of uniform and people see what kind of powerhouse this guy actually is. He is everything that you would design a running back to be. Try to sketch one up on a piece of paper with a pencil and design what you want your running back to look like. He's going to 9 times out of 10 look like this cat you see on the screen right here, Phil Maffa. This guy he is built to, if you want to physically impose your will, which is what Ben Johnson says, basically what the Bears want to do, you need a workhorse to do it that can pound dudes. You're going to just see, it's going to be things on his film. You're going to see him just completely obliterate guys that get in his way in that last level of the defense. God forbid that safety, once this guy gets up to full speed, tries to get in this way, he's just going to get flattened. And you're going to see that time after time, all that roadkill. He just destroyed guys. And this is the kind of guy that puts a hurting on a defense and makes the defense think twice about how hard they're coming up to stop this guy. And so later in games, you need horses like this to really lead your charge, man. I'm telling y'all, Phil Maffa, I would love to see him in a Bears uniform. I got a few running backs that I like, but he's right up there in that echelon of all of them. Phil Maffa is going to be a workhorse, straight up with long speed that can get you the big play. You wait until you see this guy if you haven't seen him, man. Gonna love him. Look at a comment. All right, let's get to the next guy. Let me see, where are we? One of his teammates, Marcus Tate, guard from Clemson, 6'5", 315-pound senior. Now, out of all the kids that I've seen play guard, I've seen quite a few of them. This one, it might be the most athletically gifted and physical, and I'm talking about temperament. The way, this guy will set the tone of that offensive line group. Straight up, you want some nasty, you want some, I need to just a tempo setter, somebody that can really come in here and give my offensive line some identity and just really punish people and just get at the cats. This is the guy. This is the guy. Marcus Tate is a beast. He is purely played to play guard and built to play guard. If he ends up being, somebody ends up giving him some center reps, that might be an extra. But I think he's a pure guard. And that nastiness and that the physicality that he plays with, and he's smooth. He's a really good athlete. He's a really, really good athlete. Now I'm looking at him on film. I'm just like, okay, I'm looking for something that I don't like. There's nothing about Marcus Tate that I don't like. He's clean in his pass sets. Pass pro is nice. And he really, really, you see the best of Marcus Tate when they run that ball towards him. And he needs to go downfield and seal off a block to get that running back through that hole. That's when he's at his best. When he's battling with somebody that's giving him a problem, man, he's going to get after that cat, finish him, and going to be talking stuff to him and go do it again to him. He's overwhelming. He is overwhelming. Marcus Tate is the kind of football player you need if you're trying to reshape and reform the identity of your offensive line group and get some tone setters. You start with guys like this right here. Marcus Tate is a dog. And I can't wait till you guys see his film either. 6'5", 315-pound senior out of Clemson. That physicality that he plays with is everything you like about the Chicago Bears and Chicago Bear football. He fits the bill. He's a great fit. Check him out. So get to some comments here. Let me see. Real Bears fan, he says, in the past 25 years, there have been 530 QBs with 100 attempts in a season. Caleb is ranked 520th at completion percentage, throwing under 10 yards of air time, 36% on throws over 10 yards, 5 to 12. Yeah, man. Hey, bro. One of the things that, to tell you the truth, Real Bears fan, one of the things I think the thing that I will be watching for more than anything else is how Caleb Williams takes to this new offense, knowing this is with me knowing that he's going to run into a learning curve. I know it. Every last one of them, they always do. It's a new system for the second year in a row, and how they're able to design the concepts around his quick twitch ability with his arm. I think it's going to be a lot of short pass stuff. The downfield stuff, I think, is just a work in progress. But how he takes to playing, really, really read and react kind of quarterback play and not running around and, that being a feature of what he does, it's a hit or miss, man, to be honest with you. And I know everybody gets excited about the future and this kid, Caleb Williams, man. Everybody's got a right to feel that way. But I think, I'm going to be looking at it hard, man. And I don't know that this is going to go exactly the way we want it to. I just hope that it does. But I'm ready for whatever happens. it's gonna be a process, man, especially for him getting a new offense in him. Best thing that they can do is really dumb down the process by putting a great running game behind him, great offensive line in front of him, and just really dumbing it down that way and using his quick release and using the short game to really kind of take advantage of these guys, man. That's the best thing they can do right now as he's learning this new scheme and this new offense and getting comfortable with it. Just really dumb down the process that way. Simplify what you do. Run the damn ball, get an offensive line to help you do that. Get some running backs that can really pound it, some receivers that can block downfield, and use the short passing game as he's getting acclimated. And then you layer on some of the stuff that you have in your playbook. That's if I think everything went perfectly in my mind, that's how I get set up. Just really dumb it down for him, man. Just don't make it complicated. Get to a couple more comments. Let me see. Chris Foster. I knew that was kind of, I kind of knew that, man. All right, let's get to some more football players. Hold on. Let me get up here. Here's another real treat out there that ain't nobody talking about. Defensive tackle Tonka Hemingway, 6'3", 288-pound senior out of South Carolina. Boy, this cat is so twitchy. So twitchy for a guy this big. And again, remember, what is Dennis Allen looking for? They're looking for Tonka Hemingway type of football players. 6'3", 288 pounds, and can play outside, inside. You're gonna get some edge reps out of this kid. You're gonna get some D tackle reps out of this kid. Anywhere up and down the defensive line. I mean, he's as explosive a big man at his position as I've seen in this draft. He's durable. He hasn't missed a game the entire time he's been at South Carolina. So there's another check to put beside his name. Hasn't missed a game the entire time, and he's been there for 4 years. Been there for 4 years and ain't missing nothing. That durability, that probably deserves 2 checks. When you start talking about defensive tackles and who to draft, you can count on him. But man, he's explosive. He's playing, next to Zach Pickens for a couple of years, you know what I mean? And, Zach Pickens was getting all the shine when he was there. But as soon as Zach left that place, it's been all him and TJ Sanders. Tonka Hemingway is going to be one of those sleeper players that come off the board, mid to later in the draft, that somebody's going to get him on the team. And if it's Chicago, you just got a guy that you can flex from inside. I've seen him play nose at 288 pounds. You can definitely get some 3-tech reps out of him, some really good 3-tech reps. He gets off that ball and ain't pretty much. He shoots a gap and ain't nothing the offensive line can do with him. And he's powerful. So you got to be powerful to be able to play nose tackle. Tonka Hemingway is a sleeper in this draft, a true sleeper, and a really good person to identify as a fit in Dennis Allen's scheme. Man, he's a tweener. He's a tweener. He's somewhere between tackle and edge rusher, but he's more tackle than he is edge rusher. I would just say that, and I believe you guys will enjoy this film too. Check out Tonka Hemingway, 6'3", 288-pound senior out of South Carolina. Here's another center, Gus Hartwig out of Purdue. And if you know what I know, offensive linemen in the Big Ten have to have something to them, right? You got to have something to him. Number one, he's been the anchor on Purdue's O-line for 5 years. So he's going to be one of those older seniors that comes out. He's 6'5", 305 pounds. Showed off some position versatility down at the Shrine Bowl. Seen some tape down there, man. He took really good reps at guard. And so I think his value, is definitely center. His value is definitely center. Anytime you can anchor that offensive line in Purdue for 5 years, playing that position, it gives a certain amount of luster to what you can bring to the table. That Purdue offensive line's got some nasty to it, and he does have some nasty to it. He's clean, plays good pass set reps, great in the run game. I mean, just that flexibility, knowing that you got a guy that can slide on over next door, whether it be left or right, knowing that he can pop over there if you need him to do it. That's probably the most valuable thing about him, other than him being a pure center. The fact that they know for a fact that he can give them guard reps is just going to add to his value. And so if we're in that position later on in the draft, and we don't need to, I don't think we need to reach too early for a center. I really don't. I think you let that center come to you. I think Gus Hartwig, man, 6'5", 305 pounds out of Purdue, would be a great piece to add to the team. Great piece. I mean, he is another thing I would say is the guys that I, kind of detailed on this show about, the centers that I detailed, I just wanted to make sure they were steady guys that don't get injured a lot, always on the field, and that are pretty much the anchors of an offensive line. And each and every last one of these guys are anchors. Gus Hartwig take a backseat to nobody when it comes to that. He did it for 5 years at Purdue. So, seen it, done it against the best competition in the country. Yes, this guy's an option, man, for us, and steady one at that. So check out Gus Hartwig, 6'5", 305-pound senior out of Purdue. Another center, Brian Stevens. Now, this one, you'll look at 6'2", 300 pounds and be like, okay. Looking at his body now, and you're just like, okay, he ain't that big. Man, this dude is so stable and solid. I seen him. Now, he played at Virginia. Virginia's in the ACC conference. I'm not going to say Virginia played against the best competition in the country on a regular basis. Now, they did play against high-end competition. They had Miami in that conference. And so this guy is rock solid, man, very stable with a lot of room for body growth. He's going to be able to put 15 pounds on that frame. And he's got that compact build, and he anchors well against bigs. Another one of these kids, Brian Stevens, I think it was a game against, I want to say Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's got some pretty good big boys that come out of there, man. Virginia Tech, he's just stoned those bigs, man. It was so many times that he had to go one-on-one against some of those big guys. Was it Virginia Tech or was it – damn. I want to think it was Virginia Tech. It might have been another team, but they had some really big nose tackles, man. He was like 20 to 30 pounds bigger than him that I was just like, they're going to eat him up. And he anchored well. These are NFL type of bodies that he's going to deal with week in and week out. And that was the most impressive thing about him. It's how he's built. And because he's built low to the ground and has a good firm base to him, he was able to sit down on those guys and really kind of put a thrust into them and not, really lose ground against them. When you're looking at centers like that, when they're undersized like this one, I don't really particularly think that 300 pounds is undersized, but against some of the bigger defensive tackles that you see out there now, that's not very big. So in relation to it, that's why I would say undersized. But I definitely can see another 10 to 15 pounds on him rather quickly in muscle. And he's another really good option, man. Brian Stevens, check him out from Virginia, 6'2", 300-pound senior, man. Very, very solid, man, at all areas of being a center. Very solid. Check him out. Get to a couple of comments here. Let me see. Chris going crazy. What's up? Foster, I ain't seen you in a long time, man. Seen you in a long time. What you say, Mr. Charles? He said, sorry, Nomad, but Dennis Allen likes his tackles bigger than this. Nah, it depends on what kind of tackle you're talking about. You talking about nose tackles? You talking about 3-techs? What are we talking about? He likes tweeners, bro. He likes edge rushers that can slide inside, go outside. You know what I mean? He likes football players like that. I can definitely tell you that's the case. Let me see. What's going on, Foster? I ain't seen you in quite a while. It's really good to see you up in here, bro. Let me see. Aunt Ma said he's Jones and he needs his fix. All right, man. Let's get to some more football players. Let's go to this guy right here. Craig Woodson, safety out of California. 6 foot, 202-pound senior. Like when you've been around football and you played enough of it, like it's not hard to tell when you turn on a game and you can tell who loves playing football. You could tell who is just having a blast out there, and it's just they couldn't be in a better place than playing football right there, right then and there, and at that moment. Craig Woodson loves playing football, bro. He loves this game, and every coach, every GM, and every scout, when he comes to this part of the season, one of the first things out of their mouths is, "We're looking for guys that love football," right? And it sounds so damn cliche, you get tired of hearing it because it sounds cliche, but it's true. Like if you want to really separate, everything that you've been looking at, and they've been looking at a boatload of film. When it comes to these safeties, they're looking for a certain trait. And they're gonna this guy, his quick trigger is what's gonna stand out to you. Craig Woodson's quick trigger when he sees it and how fast he reacts to it and how fast he gets from A to B. Outstanding, man. Outstanding. And when he arrives, it's violent. He's a very aggressive football player. Got a great IQ too, man. He sees the field well, evaluates what he sees. I've seen him jump passes and really detect what was going on before the play even played out. You could tell that he does his film work and he sees formations and packages, and he's like, I know what's coming out of this. And I've seen him jump a play. I think it was a running back coming out on like a wheel route or something like that. And he jumped it, and he just absolutely, I think it was a game against Auburn. And he just absolutely obliterated the running back. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. When coaches and evaluators are looking at this film, they're going to see from when it comes to safeties, how well do you read it? How fast do you trigger, and how fast does it take you to get from A to B? Sideline to sideline speed, as far as the range goes, he's at the top of the echelon. Very, very fast, very twitchy, very aggressive. And man, he's one of those guys he's another one that I didn't, a lot of these guys I've been looking at probably 9 months out. This guy just came on my radar in the last 3 to 4 months. Just came onto the radar, and I've been watching this stuff since then. Craig Woodson is one of those guys, man. He's got the perfect size to play box. He can play on the top. Depends on where you want him at. But you can trust and believe you got you a fucking football player. Craig Woodson, you're going to love this tape. I guarantee you're going to love this tape. Craig Woodson's a stud, man. Y'all check him out. 6 foot senior, 202 pounds out of California, man. He's even more physical than Elijah Hicks was, and I thought Elijah Hicks was pretty physical. He's double that. I'm telling you, they're raising them well out in California. They got a good defensive backs coach that's really grooming these guys very well. Got some good prospects coming out of there in the last couple of years. But Craig Woodson is one of the newest ones, man. Go check him out on film. Nah, let me see. Mr. Charles says, wait a minute. Real Bears fan says he wants a bigger center, man. They're coming. I still got centers to put out there. I'm just talking about some of the more sturdier ones and the play just really clean football. Those are the ones that I'm putting on display today. I'm not nowhere near done. Trust me, Chris. Nowhere near. Mr. Charles says he's talking about the kid that was 288. He's not a Dennis Allen type of tackle. I beg to differ with that. I beg to differ with that. Once you see him on film, I think you might think different about it too. You're talking about Tonka Hemingway. Let me see. Foster Cover says too much work in life getting in the way of living life. Gonna end by June. Thanks for asking. Oh, he's talking to somebody else. My bad. Aunt Maz, no, he ain't Charles Woodson's son, I don't think. I didn't hear about that. All right, let's get to somebody else, man. Let's get to some more football players. We rolling. Let me see. We're right here now. We're getting right here around the top of the chart, and these are the particular guys that I really want to single out to you all. These are exceptional. Now, what I'm about to put on the screen right now is one of the very reasons why I get so triggered when I hear somebody repeat, this isn't a good deep tackle class. How many people have heard of Jalen Travis out of Iowa State? Anybody? Anybody checked him out yet? 6'7", 340-pound senior out of Iowa State. He is a plug and play ready NFL tackle right now. All I saw when I watched this guy's film was Darnell Wright, but on the other side of the ball. That's what I seen. And I'm like, when I get to Iowa State's roster, I'm looking at, what I'm looking at. And he comes up and I turn on his film. I'm like, holy. And you know what? Let me give you the crown jewel of why I think he's a plug and play NFL ready left tackle. This guy's pass sets are elite. He is NFL ready. Like, I don't see there's offensive tackles that are starting on NFL teams right now that I don't see with as clean a kick slide and pass set as he has. I mean, it is real clean and very, very defined. I mean, his pass sets are immaculate. This is exactly Jalen Travis is an interesting story. Now, you see this guy off camera, and he came as a transfer from Princeton, I believe. He's an Ivy League kid. And you see him off camera, off uniform, and he sounds and looks like your typical Ivy League kid, what you would imagine they sound like. You put on this guy's tape, and he has a switch. He has a switch. Straight up. Because is it impressive as I am about his pass pro and his sets and how clean they are. And how well he mirrors, how good his feet are. He's very, very athletic. You don't expect guys this big to be this athletic. But even more, what really crystallized it for me is how aggressive he is in the run game. He will get on your ass and just straight up, he's a snowplow. Straight up. I mean, I can't say that I've seen every single tackle in this draft class because I'm still on top of it. But compared to the tackles I've seen in this class, I wouldn't say that any other tackle in this draft class can really say I'm better than him because of this. I don't think so. I think Jalen Travis has it all. He's an NFL starter right now. Right now. That's how impressed I was with this guy's film. He is ready. He is ready. I'm telling you, I cannot wait till you guys check this guy out on film. The shit was impressive, y'all, man. I'm just telling you right now, that kick slide and how he sets in the pass pro and mirrors the pass rusher, those long arms of his, man, and those powerful hands. Those long arms have that trait about him, and him knowing when to extend them and fire them really gives him an added advantage when you have such a dominant kick slide and being able to get back in your set fast enough and quick enough. And knowing when to fire those hands, it just instinctively knows, boom, this is when I shoot him. Boom, this is when I shoot him. Got out my kick slide, boom, fire. And he just stones people. Stop them dead in their tracks. There is no second move once he puts those hands on you. There's no second move to be had. He puts those hands on you, and that's the end of it. That's what you're going to see over and over again. He gets out of that kick slide and decides to fire those hands, and you see it just end right there. And if you watch a whole game or two, you'll see that consistently every guy that's trying to rush him on a speed or trying to beat him around the edge and the twitchier guys, they get frustrated with him. And once they can't get around him and he puts those hands on them, they just stop. It's like, what's the point? I know I'm not going nowhere. So I'm not going to waste all this extra energy. I'm telling you, this guy's going to be a lockdown offensive tackle in the NFL. And you're going to remember that I told you so. I take pride in my work. I'm telling you, this guy right here is going to be locked down. He's a starting NFL tackle. Jalen Travis is, I'm just going to refrain from saying the best one I've seen so far because I'm not trying to give nobody that title just yet, but good Lord, he is good. Really good. So check out Jalen Travis, 6'7", a mountain, 340-pound senior out of Iowa State. Let me tell me what you think in the comment section about what I just said about him. Tell me if I'm right or wrong. All right, let me get to a couple more comments. He was talking to me, Foster. Y'all hang in. I'm going to get to some of these comments when I get done. I only got a few players left. Yep. It says, Foster says, he says, yes, I believe you are correct. Travis is unknown by fans. I only saw him because I always got to look at ISU tight ends. He stood out on film. Man, I'm telling y'all, Foster knows what he's talking about on this one, man. He definitely knows what he's talking about. He's one of those players that stop you in your tracks and just like, hold up. Like, this dude is huge. And not only that, he's athletic. I mean, can move. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm over the moon impressed by him. But I even got a guy on here, Foster. I'm gonna put it on here in a second. And I'm even more impressed with this kid. I'm gonna show y'all in a minute. Hold on, be shut. He said, who let Nomad out? All right, let's get to another guy because we fast approaching the end of this one. Got another guy. And this right here is, so this is, this is wide receiver Keandre Lambert-Smith out of Auburn, 6'1", 182-pound senior. This is so when I watched him play, and I just couldn't help think this is Slim Reaper 2.0. That's what's his name? Smith from the Eagles. That's Jameson Williams from Detroit. When you need, I think we've been missing this piece since we lost Darnell Mooney. But this guy's even more explosive than Mooney. He is Slim Reaper 2.0. Keandre Lambert-Smith is going to pop off the screen at you. You're going to be like, oh, this is exactly what Ben Johnson would need out of the slot. He's a big play waiting to happen every time he touches the ball. Whether it's on screen passes, whether it's taking the top off the defense out of the slot, he's playing X, he's playing Z. Wherever and he is a playmaker, a straight playmaker. I cannot wait till y'all see Keandre Lambert-Smith. They call him KLS. He's got a little nickname. KLS is what everybody calls him. KLS is going to be a dog. He is that dynamic piece that if you're Ben Johnson and you like to run reverses, double reverses, and you like to, use that piece to really take the top off the defense while you surgically break them down and they lull them to sleep with the run game and the play action stuff. This is the guy you need to go down the field and pop the top off. You're going to be looking at this film like, you're going to be like, I ain't heard nobody say nothing about this kid. Not a one person. And this is one of the guys you need to be paying close attention to. He is on your draft board. If you're Chicago and you're looking to replace that slot, you need a pure slot receiver, and you need somebody that's purely dangerous every time he touches it. This guy is it. This is Slim Reaper 2.0. He is dangerous. The MF should come with a hazard sign to him. Straight up. I mean, explosive. Watch this cat on film and see if Keandre Lambert-Smith, KLS is what they call him, ain't everything I just told you he is. This is Slim Reaper 2.0. This is Slim Reaper 2.0. This dude will destroy a defense in whether it's in the short area or whether it's down the field. He is a weapon. He is a weapon. Straight up. Wait until you catch this guy on film, man. I'm telling you. I'm pretty sure some people in here that haven't seen him. I'm pretty sure it's people that have seen him, but I'm telling you, this guy, wait till he's probably going to be at the combine, but I guarantee you he's going to get drafted. Let me see. I don't want to predict exactly where, but if he gets on a team like ours and he ends up in Chicago, he's going to take over the slot position right away. You're going to forget all about Tyler Scott if he ends up on this team. Guarantee you, because he's just superior, in the middle part of the field versus what Tyler Scott has shown so far. And down the field, Tyler Scott is as explosive. But in the short area, he's probably a couple steps ahead of Tyler, because he's more twitchier when he gets the ball in his hand. It's just instant triggers. And Tyler Scott is a little bit different than that, man. So I think this is everything we've been looking for in the last couple of years since Mooney left it. Was this, man? We just what has it been, a year since Mooney left? But I think since we lost Mooney, I think we've been in need of this particular football player. And KLS is it, man. Keandre Lambert-Smith, 6'1", 182 pounds out of Auburn. Straight twitch, straight big play potential. And he just made them over and over and over again down at Auburn, man. That's what's going to stick out to you is how often and how many different ways he made those big plays. You're just going to see, whether it's in the short game, whether it's down the field, middle of the field, catching, running. It's just so many ways that he was just explosive. And he is a piece, man. When you're trying to upgrade your roster, you go look for guys like this. Check them out. KLS out of Auburn, 6'1", 182 pounds. Got a couple comments, man. Day 3 of the draft was going to be an MF, huh? FFG says. B Shep 23 says we need a slot receiver after Keenan. Yep, that's true. Yep. I don't know, man. All signs lean towards it that Keenan might be gone. I don't believe nothing until it happens, man, to be honest with you. I really don't. All right, let's get to another football player. Let me see here. Again, you're talking about somebody that loves football. Loves football. No, this guy is no relation to Chris Paul, the basketball player. No, this is Chris Paul, middle linebacker out of Mississippi, 6'1", 235-pound junior. Now, at first, I've known. Well, he's got the size to play in Dennis Allen's defense. Most of Dennis Allen's linebackers are 6'2", 6'3", but 6'1" ain't that much of a difference. It's 235 pounds. He probably would prefer a guy to be a little bit bigger, thus far looking at his track record. But I think this guy, he sees a kid like this on film. I mean, now read what I'm saying here on the side of the screen. You feel his presence lurking the entire game. I don't care what game you're watching him play in. It's like if I'm on that field and I'm playing on the other side of the ball, I'm aware of where this MF is at all times. That's how dominant his presence is on the field. He is a real field general. He's a true field general. And his presence is the plays that he makes, he triggers fast, great finisher, man, sure tackler, all that good stuff, good coverage instincts, all that stuff that you expect a linebacker to have. But I'm telling you, where he really stands out amongst these linebackers in this draft is just how his presence just lurks on that field. It's like he's in every play. He's around that ball. And he's going to make plays on the ball. I mean, I would probably put him in the category of top 5 running backs I've seen so far. Maybe top 3. This guy is all over. You love Roquan Smith and the way Roquan Smith played football, then you're going to love Chris Paul Jr. You're going to absolutely love Chris Paul Jr. He's faster than Roquan, twitchier than Roquan. He has more coverage ability than Roquan. And his presence is as strong on the field as Roquan. Roquan has a very strong presence on the field. Roquan's out there, don't you? That's the same vibe you get from Chris Paul. Chris Paul Jr., you just know he's there and he's going to make plays. It reminds you of Ray Lewis a little bit. It's like he's just an omnipresent figure on the football field. And in that, it's like this in this certain area in between that 15-yard radius, 15 to 20-yard radius, forwards, backwards, left, right. He is just present at that ball, and he meets you with bad intentions. You're gonna love Chris Paul. Y'all gonna love Chris Paul. I just hope. I don't know what's gonna happen with our linebacker room. There's a lot of talk about what they might do to, bleed out the salary cap or whatever that is. I know if they end up in the draft looking for a linebacker, this dude better be high on their damn board, because Chris Paul is that dude. Straight up, he is that dude. As a linebacker, he is that dude. But go check him out. Ole Miss linebacker, Chris Paul Jr., 6'1", 235 pounds. Check him out. You're going to love him. Let's get to this guy right here. Tyler Batty out of BYU. 6'5", 275 pounds seen. Now, the top of the comment, when you see me say dominant presence against the run, that's what sticks out. Tyler Batty is not a toolsy pass rusher. Again, I'm looking at Dennis Allen's scheme going back. Damn, it's been at least 3 years, 2-3 years, and you can't find a really toolsy edge rusher on that team. What you find are body types that are really, really strong coming off the edge with power. That's what you see. You see a certain body type, and he is the body type. Strong in the run game, and they're not trying to spend a whole bunch of time trying to beat you with spin moves and all kinds of tools out off the edge. No, that's not what Dennis Allen needs. He needs you to get there and get there fast. And if that means you get there with power, you got to get him with a swim move, but just make it quick, sudden, and fast. And so Tyler Batty is a Dennis Allen edge rusher. And he can provide some position flexibility at 275. Seen him line up on the inside, get it done from the inside. He's tenacious. I was just surprised by how much I didn't know about this football player until I turned on the film. I was just like, hold on, man, I've been sleeping on this cat. He's another one that I didn't really know that much about until maybe about 6 months ago. But since then, I've been, I'm telling you, 4-3 edge rusher in Dennis Allen's system looks a certain way. And I think us as fans, I'm just basically trying to, I don't know. I really don't know what's going to happen at the end of the day, but based on history, this is the kind of guy he's looking for. And I'm cool with that. Big Chase Young body. That's what he likes. And I'm cool with it because I've seen it be absolutely destructive to offenses. I don't need, there's always going to be a place for a pure pass rusher that has a tool bag that can come out and really, really get to you. The Khalil Macks of the world, the Von Millers of the world. I love those guys. But in his system, I just don't see any track record of any kind of body type other than this type of body type you're seeing on the screen. Tyler Batty is a Dennis Allen edge rusher. Dominant presence against the run. Yes, you need to have that functionality in your arsenal. If you're going to play for Dennis Allen, you need to be a dominant presence setting that edge. And he's that. Tenacious is all get out. Tenacious is all get out, man. He is, like, I've seen a couple of plays where I thought this guy probably should have ended up in the ambulance. I think it was a running back that grabbed was it a running back or receiver? I can't remember, but grabbed like this bubble screen on the side of the field. And he came away from all the way on the other side of the field, full steam. And that dude cut back into the traffic. And this dude just annihilated. I mean, I didn't expect that guy to get up off the ground. I had more respect for that football player than I had of anything. It was ferocious, man. But I'm telling you, check out Tyler Batty, man. Edge rusher out of BYU. He is a Dennis Allen fit, 110%. There's no question about it. Based on his history, this is the kind of guy that Dennis Allen's going to target. Whether he targets him early or late doesn't matter to me, but I know the body type that he's looking for. And this is it. Tyler Batty, edge rusher, 6'5", 275 out of BYU. Check him out. My last guy that I'm about to put up. Let me get to a couple of comments before I do it. Let me see what we got. Yep, it was Roquan Measurables on him. You're sure right about that. He's talking about Chris Paul Jr. He says Lambert Smith in 3 mock simulators today is listed as a 7th rounder or UDFA. Man, I don't, you know what, Foster? I don't care where they're listed and where they're drafted. All I know is what I see on tape. And, it's only, you know what, Foster, you can only get, it's only 200 some odd people that get drafted. And that's unfortunate. It's not that these guys aren't talented enough or should be drafted and drafted early. It's just about where a board sets up in somebody's room and how they rank these guys. Some of the best players I ever seen play football didn't get drafted. Ever. I mean, sitting in the Hall of Fame right now. Got a bust in the Hall of Fame. Didn't even get drafted. A lot of them are O-linemen. Some of them are D-line. It's about, do you believe what you see on film? And I know what I see on film. Just check him out on film and tell me what you think about it. I like the traits. B Shep 23 says Chris Paul's usually have a Hall of Fame career. I hope so. Paul Rodriguez says, prefer Smile Munden or Chris Paul? Ooh, that's a hard one, bro. That's a hard one. It all depends on what position you're trying to fill. So, like, I would say Smile Munden would be a great will linebacker. Great will linebacker. Reads. I would say Chris Paul is superior at reading the game than Smile Munden. Smile Munden relies on pure athleticism, and he's going to win most of the time doing that. But I'm talking about diagnosing what he's seeing in front of him, talking about linebacker play. I would say Chris Paul has an edge on Smile Munden that way. But a pure fast will linebacker sees it, triggers, gets on the ball, Smile Munden. But middle linebacker seeing the field, diagnosing Ray Lewis level type of intellect and knowing what's in front of him, I say Chris Paul. Let me see. All right, let me get to the last guy because this guy I got some real. Y'all going the comments I'm about to give y'all gonna have to go see it for yourselves. But I can see. Listen, this kid right here, defensive tackle Jordan Phillips, 6'3", 320-pound sophomore, coming out in the draft. Probably should have. Listen, let me tell you something. Like that statement that I made early when the show came on about listening to the Muhammad Ali quote before the George Foreman fight when he said, "I always know what I know." Like this kid right here, there's no doubt in my mind that most of the defensive tackles coming out of school in the future are going to be measured to this kid. If you like Jalen Carter and the things that you like about Jalen Carter, the certain things and how he plays, how he wins. Number one, Mr. Charles, I'm gonna tell you something. This guy he's got a state champion wrestling background in high school. Number one, he's a monster in the weight room. His strength. This guy is like a Bam Bam from the Flintstones. He's a baby Huey. This guy is going to be the most dominant defensive tackle out of this class, bar none, when the dust settles. I believe whoever gets this cat on the team is going to get the steal of the draft because his upside is so tremendous because of his strength and his quickness. And you look at a guy being this size and you don't expect him to be as twitchy as he is. And he is incredibly twitchy. Like I've seen Mason Graham. I've seen Kenneth Graham. I've seen all these guys. Looked at them all. And I'm telling you, when I seen this kid play on film, I was like, and you know what? The best thing about him is he doesn't really know that much what he's doing yet. He's just reacting. They do some pretty good coaching. Maryland, that's where he's from. If I didn't mention, he's out of Maryland. They've had some pretty good D tackles come out of there in the last 5 years or so. Really good D tackles. Something is working there, and the coaching there is good, but really, really raw. But I'm telling you, this guy gets in front of the right D-line coach, he's going to be more dominant than any defensive tackle in this draft. And I'll stand on that. Whoever gets Jordan Phillips just got the steal of the draft. Period. I think his upside, it's a mountain. It's a mountain. You're going to see this guy on film, and he's just like a forklift. You're going to see grown-ass men get completely forklifted and thrown out of the way, other 300-plus pound, and it looks like nothing. He's just leaving a wasteland of bodies. And he doesn't even know what he's doing yet. How do I know that? Because I can tell, but he has one technique that he's comfortable with right now, two of them, as a matter of fact. That strong-ass swim-over move that Jalen Carter does at the line of scrimmage to get wins and penetrate a gap, that strong-ass swim-over move, it's even stronger than Jalen's. He wins that way. And he also wins by forklifting and just throwing you back into the defense and replacing the line of scrimmage. I'm telling you, no maniacs, this kid is so fucking impressive. I can't get enough of looking at his film. It's just one of those kids that you're looking at all this film and all of a sudden it's just like, hold the fuck, what is this? That's what Jordan Phillips is. He's a monster. And he's gonna get, he's gonna get labeled as a nose tackle. But you are going to get 3 tech reps out of this kid because his twitch is outstanding. He's big, strong enough, of course, to play nose guard and dominate at that position. But you can't be a closed-minded coach when an athlete of this caliber, this young, and knows so little. You have got to be willing to cross-train him and make sure he sees it all. Get him them 3 tech reps. This dude is going to be the steal of the draft. Telling you that right now. These defensive tackles, I'm telling you, in the end, they won't have shit on him. I'm telling you, I see it right now. I'm going to be cocky like Muhammad Ali. I always know what I know. And that's what I can tell you about defensive tackle Jordan Phillips. He is going to be a dominant force in the NFL for a long time, and they are going to be measuring defensive tackles up to his ability, and it ain't going to be fair. It's just like watching, oh my God, just go turn on the tape. Let me get this off the screen because I see FFG ready to get in here and talk. Check him out, Jordan Phillips, defensive tackle out of Maryland, 6'3", 320 pounds. But that's my those are my players this week, man. Those are my players. Let me get FFG on the screen for some thoughts, man.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna give a comprehensive talk about what we just saw, and I really think there's so many talented players in this draft that were the names that you hear on the news and who's predicted to go to who and all these mock drafts. Let it go. Look for yourself. That's all I'm going to tell you. Because a lot of the guys that Nomad is finding are diamonds in the rough, but are also overlooked because of the success of the team that they play for. And that's what you really want to look at, is who's dominating where. And most of these guys are playing in major markets as far as the conference they play in. Because right now it's all about the money. Let's just be honest. You're going to be on TV every week if your conference is dominating, your team is good. And NFL don't work like that. So when we see the combine and when you go see all these different scouting, locations they're going to do, like who they go see, that's going to tell you immediately who the Bears have been watching and who the scouts actually are putting up there and what the coaches want. And what Nomad talked about today, there's a couple of them, like Tyler Beatty. Like, people don't realize how good this kid is. He's even a master of special teams. He's strong. He holds the point of attack. He kills the run. It's something that we need on the opposite side of Montez Sweat. Yes, we need a pass rush too. So there are a couple guys that we're focused on today that, and KLS, I'm sorry to tell you, I don't care who predicted him in the 7th round or UDFA, was an idiot. That kid got so much speed and hand talent.
He said it was a mock simulator.
Right, but I'm just saying, it didn't matter. That's basically what somebody said, who they value this kid at. So to me, it is so much of a hard job to evaluate talent. And the more you can do it, the more we can bring this to you. Shows you how in depth that what Nomad does, what we see on film, is devastating, and what could be for the Bears. And now that we have the teaching coaches that we have that can actually bring out the best in all these players, I'm really looking at killing free agency, getting your line together. You may make one devastating trade, but you trade back and get as many draft picks as you can get, because there's so many quality athletes out there. Even
I'm not even done. I'm not even done, man. I wouldn't even say I'm halfway through the players that I have. I mean, I've been working my behind off, and this is where I feel like, the Nomad Network can really cut themselves off a different piece of cloth, because I'm not going to be lazy about it. I'm not calling anybody else lazy in how they do podcasts. People do podcasts how the hell they want to do them. But when it comes to this part of the season and this part of the year as a Bears content creator, I know that I can bring something to the table. You know what I mean? Because this ain't work for me. It's a lot of time, a lot of man hours, a lot of studying all night long. But I'm a insomniac anyway. You know what I mean? So I'm already up anyway. Might as well look at some of this tape and get this stuff evaluated and broke down. So that's where I'm spending my time. And so I only do it because of you all, man. And it's just, I like to be able to explain to you guys in detail what I see on film and let you all go take a look at what you see and come back and have some comments about it. Because, the average guy out here doing these podcasts, they're focused on the top heavy part of the draft. And that's all they want to talk about, because that's all everybody else knows. Because I guess, to a lot of people, doing film work is a little bit much for them. Nobody want to do all that. I don't mind. And so I'm telling you guys, I'm putting the work in. And so that when we come on this show, I know FFG does his work too. We all try to put those man hours in to make sure that when we broadcast and tell you about these guys, we're standing on something. And so hopefully you all can appreciate that, man, because I really enjoy giving it to you all. I hope y'all enjoy it as much as I like putting it up here and talking about it, because I really enjoy these. These some damn good freaking football players in this draft. And I mean all over from top to bottom. And a lot of them that ain't going to be drafted. The UDFA market is going to boom with some great players. I'm just telling you that right now. You just got to know what the F you're looking at and know exactly what they can bring to the table. Know the schematics, offensively and defensively, what body types, what traits. You got some of those things going on, you can easily identify guys that fit in what we want to do. It's just you got to be willing to put some work in, and I don't mind at all.
Hey, man, I'm going to ask you a quick question. We look at the team today, and we look at it one of the cats that we hope with the draft, or it could be UDFA, right? Tell me, if you had Elijah Roberts 3 years ago over the guy that's been a backup, hasn't played, and Dominique Robinson, who would you have taken with this
right
kind of defense?
Elijah Robinson this is his job. The thing about Dominique Robinson is that hasn't been his trade. As he was coming up, it was just something he's new to. He's learned the tricks of the trade. Elijah Robinson knows how to play the position. You know what I mean? You bring him in here immediately. He's more effective pass rusher than Dominique Robinson. He knows he's going to win with power. There's no getting around it. He's a powerful guy, and ain't no BSing around when it comes to him when you watch his pass rush. He just overpowers guys. Speed and power.
But Dominique Robinson is the same body type that Dennis Allen wants, and he's had a chance to play in the league for 3 years. And who would you take?
Elijah Robinson, hands down.
Hands down, right. And this is why evaluation is so important, y'all. Learning who is available, who you can depend on, how you can develop them is going to be so important going forward. It's not even funny. So I'm really betting on the coaching staff. I'm not betting on the draft prospects. I'm betting on the coaching staff to make a difference in what kind of players we bring in to facilitate every style of offense, defense, special teams we want to play going forward. And that is really going to make a difference.
So, sometimes there's this, I've seen it happen when I was in school, man. Overcoaching is real. Like if you bring veteran coaches in here, like we got, bring guys in here that know that too much is, too much. You know what I mean? Just really simplify the game for them, see what they're really good at, and don't try to recreate the wheel. Like say, for instance, we brought in Gerald Mincey from Kentucky. You give him some reps, you give him the reps he needs to see if he can compete as a tackle. But know right away where his strengths are, and don't try to get away from it, man. Don't try to make him don't be rigid like the New York Jets were and thought that they had nothing in this guy Mekhi Becton and let him go. All you had to be is not rigid, and just because you projected him to be a tackle and he didn't turn out to be the guy you needed him to be at tackle, you forgot that you should have gave him an opportunity elsewhere to shine. kick them inside, protect them. You know what I mean? They forgot to do that. That's what coaching is. It's about knowing exactly, okay, I've seen enough reps of him at tackle. Now, what do I do with him? Give me a second, man. I got to plug my computer up. Talk for a second. But just knowing what to do with these guys.
Yeah, fellas, free agency is really going to be fun. I'm just going to tell you that. With all the money they've created, the NFL's given us, now we know we're not getting extra draft pick. Free agency is going to be really fun. I'm not sure about the Keenan Allen situation because I'm pretty sure we're going to spend all that money, so that was not going to count anymore. But once we establish what we want to be in free agency, then the draft is just going to be explosive. And I believe the Bears are going to have at least what Ryan posted the first year. We got 8 picks now. I believe we leave out there with 11 or 12, maybe a couple for next year. You know, I really think that he's going to line it up so much where they can just take talent after talent after talent after talent because of quality evaluation from every facet of his coaching staff and the scouting department, telling them, hey, this is exactly what you're looking for.
Well, you might have to
kill it.
You might have to trade to get to that. You may have to be willing to trade a contract or two to get to the 11, 12, draft picks, because you ain't going to get them. Ain't nobody just going to walk up to you and say, hey, you want some extra draft picks? No, you gotta make moves to acquire that. And I think somewhere in this during next week, when everybody descends on the combine, a lot of those conversations are going to start being had. So the Bears news and all that kind of stuff is going to gin up a little bit. They're going to see people talking to GMs, other GMs, and all kinds of stuff, and all the rumors are going to start coming out. Are we looking at? It's going to be all kinds of craziness going on. I don't plan on being a part of that, ginning everybody up and just for clicks and shit. Fuck all that, man. I ain't with it. But you're going to see the news tick up a notch next week when the combine starts for sure, because there's going to be a lot of conversations being had, and part of that is discussing whether or not you want to move a piece or two, to get some compensation back for it.
You know what? There was a very interesting thought process early in this chat that why did you release, not Dominic Robinson, but why'd you release D-Wop when you could trade him at least for a player or a draft pick and get a better draft pick for somebody to want him? I mean,
what makes you think they didn't try?
You telling me you couldn't get him a 6th round draft pick or 5th round draft pick for D-Walk today? Just maybe, off top.
Maybe the trade market ain't there for.
Okay, maybe. I have no idea. But I'm just saying every player that they're not trying to keep, I think that should be trade bait for something. Either this year, next year, or a player that you're looking at like, hey, we could swap. Oh, boy, give you a 6th round next year. And now we got a player that they really want, and they're not paying as much for, and they're taking away that salary cap. So it's going to be interesting. That's all I got to say.
I got a couple people in mind that I think, and nobody wants to hear the conversation about Cole Kmet or Jack Sanborn being a possibility to get moved, but there's a possibility at all times that could happen. You know what I mean? Depending on how they've evaluated this roster and how they want this thing to shake out. We just only seen the clearing of the surface with Gerald Everett and DeMarcus Walker. There could be other things in play. And I know for a fact they're setting up something, whether it's an edge rusher, a D tackle, whatever it is, they cleared out those particular 2 pieces, those particular 2 contracts, not only for, potential to get somebody else, but those were financial reasons too. I don't want to make it seem like it's not that, but I think they're looking for a certain, like David Onyemata and Chase Young would be, I'm telling you, 2 names I would keep an eye on in this process. What are we, 3 weeks outside of free agency starting? Yeah, I would keep an eye on those 2 guys.
Yeah, 3 weeks for free agency. The draft starts next week. So what I'm looking at right now is I want to see how much space they clear to see what their actual motives are in free agency, what they're actually putting their eye on and saying, hey, I need that, this, and this. Because right now, I think they're all sitting in a round circle saying, hey, for my situation to work the best, I need this, and this. And I would like you to draft this, and this. So we can all be happy. Feel me?
In the next, let's just say in the next week and a half, 2 weeks, you're going to see other big names get cut off rosters. Salary cap casualties are going to be a big thing. They're going to start clearing up space, trying to get ready for the moves that are about to be made during free agency. So you're going to see some movement going on. And I don't know how far down the line we are in Chicago, but you're going to see other teams make some big moves. And you're going to see teams react to that stuff. And so it's a lot to be had for this Bears organization. It has so many areas that you can really upgrade with the players. I think the cap casualty market is probably bigger than people want to talk about. That market is going to really help us really bolster up this roster. There's going to be some good names that are going to come open all of a sudden. Preston Smith being one of them, cut out of Pittsburgh. Potentially Anyamata, you know what I mean? These guys can come in and immediately give you something. You know what I mean? This could be situational setup for that. You know what I mean? It could be that.
I think there's some wide receivers that can be had for a lot less money too. You know what I mean? Not just fixing the line, but getting a quality third wide receiver and then drafting your fourth, fifth, or sixth wide receiver, so you can still cycle in. And this is really going to test Tyler Scott's, mental fortitude, because if he don't get lost in the shuffle, he's going to have to prove that he's better than someone coming out of college or someone they can pick up in the free agency. So he's in the worst spot for all the Bears on the team right now under contract of anybody I see.
Raise the talent level. Raise the level of competition. This is how GM, scouts, coaches, they come combine, and the marriage, and you start to, conception starts to happen. The conception comes off in the draft, in the free agent market, in the salary cap casualty market. How you start to, elevate this roster. It's about being able to identify this talent. That's the end of it. That's the beginning and the end of it. Identify the right people. Know what you're seeing. And sometimes I get to listen to some of these GMs and looking at these draft rooms when they got like 30 people in the goddamn room. And I'm just like, number one, I hope these aren't all voices that are in on the last thing he hears before he makes a pick. Sometimes I think it's too many people. And I think you need to quiet that room down, because when you got conviction about something, like when I'm convicted about something, I ain't trying to hear nobody else. Really, I ain't. Not at all, man. Because when I got conviction, it's an instinct. It's an instinct that I just know. Like anybody can be telling me whatever. I know what I know. You know what I mean? I need that out of this GM and this coaching staff. Just know what you're seeing. I don't need, if you identify this edge rusher or you identify this defensive tackle and you are over the moon about him, and you go to your assistant GM and he says, you know what, man, I see the same. You go to the coach. He's just like this, that, and the third. You go to the scouts and they say, I don't know anything about it is, I don't like his pad level and all that old bullshit, that the scout talk that they do. I know a few scouts and they talk like that in real life. You that's too much information. It makes you second guess, if you're not truly instinctual and trust your instincts, your decision. You can miss players like that. And we probably have, because too many people are talking. Too many.
Then I got a question for you. In this current regime, who do you think's voice is going to be the biggest in that room if it's a smaller room? Because I'm imagining it's probably going to be Ben Johnson, Poles,
Well, it's going to be a room full of scouts and everything.
I'm just saying, it's going to be Roshar. It's going to be Dennis Allen. It's going to be maybe the defensive line coach. That's basically the defensive assistant, not the actual line coach. and whose voice is going to be heard the most in that room as far as what they do versus free agency versus the draft. I think whose voice is going to hit harder in which area?
Depends on where you're at. Because I do know a couple of scouts from the Atlanta area, and I got a coach that coached in Atlanta. He was a I almost told his position coach, and y'all might be able to track that down. But so the way the process works in his building, the way I asked him about all that. I went out to Flowery Branch and set up in there, met Tony Gonzalez, all that shit. And the way that plays out is they basically it's basically what you would imagine, but how it plays out in the end and who ends up in that room in that little bunker with them when they get ready to make these picks and making these calls. He said it starts out the coaches give the GM basically the information that they need. This is what we're looking for. These are the size and the traits, and this is what we're looking for. They don't tell them this is where I want you to go looking. They just tell them go find me this. And the scouts go scour out all over the country and go find them those guys with those traits. And when the information comes back to them, through a thumbnail drive and files and stuff like this, check this guy out. They're all in on that, evaluation process. When it's done, they start ranking them on the board. They start putting them on the board, ranking them and, replacing them, taking them off for this reason, that reason, all the, background information they have to do with these cats. All that shit happens. But at the end of the day, depends on, from what he told me, it ends up being, it's not the whole position. Like if you put if you got an offense and every position group coach that was in there, whether he's assistant, if you got all them dudes in a room, ain't nobody going to be able to move. And so what they do is the way they did it in Atlanta was the coach is the head coach, the defensive coordinator, the offensive coordinator, all the scouts, and maybe a particular position guy that they need to get some information at the last second out of them. But every one of those guys aren't in the room. To me, that's too many people. To me, it's too many people. Everybody else should be on the phone or available to the phone, but it should be, in my opinion, it's the head coach, the defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, the GM, assistant GM, and the scouts. To me, and if the owner wants to come and bring his ass in there, let him come in there. But other than that, everybody stay the fuck out and be available for a phone call. Remember, I'll call you, FFG, if you're the tight ends coach. Hey, remember you told me about Tony Gonzalez. What'd you say to me about what his medical told you? And at the last second, you can give me some information. Other than that, I don't need you in there. Right?
Well, considering how the line is the most important part of what the Bears are going to be building, I think Roshar and what's the other guy? I can't remember his name right now. I think it's not Williams, but the old guy that they had on retirement, and he hired the young guy to take his place where he can teach him.
Roshar.
No, not Roshar, but the defensive line guy that came out of a retirement.
No, that's the O-line guy. That's Dan Roshar.
But he was coaching at Tulane, though. I'm talking about the guy that was actually in the XFL and stuff. The defensive line assistant. He's like 68, 69, but they hired a defensive line coach to be under him. And he's the dude that has been putting out quality defensive line since like the 90s. That dude.
I'm more impressed with the actual D-line coach and his pedigree in the SEC, and like he was coaching at Auburn. And if you know what I know about those Auburn defensive tackles that have been coming out of there, there's a guy right now that's on somebody's practice. So I think he's on the Texans practice squad that I was standing on the table. I think his name is Marcus Harris. I think it's Marcus Harris Jr. Like that, like that guy. Oh my God. It's just like you get these guys, and when they have certain pedigrees and they've been here and been coaching these guys, there's reasons why they picked up a particular kind of guy, where he's been coaching at and the relationships that he has with some of these football players. I think that's something that's probably going understated right about now is the relationships. That guy coaching in the SEC with Auburn, with some of those great defensive linemen they got down there right now, he's got relationships with them. And Auburn has a great defensive line. They've got great players down there. And so,
well, again, answer my question. Whose voice is going to be bigger in free agency and whose voice is going to be bigger on the draft? When we come to those five, because we're looking at five coaches basically: head coach, offensive and defensive coordinator. In this case, not so much because that's basically the head coach, and then the two line coaches, which we are the most lagging at. So really, four coaches.
It's going to be, and I can't give you a true definitive answer on that, but I know this for sure. At the end of the day, it's going to come down to the defensive coordinator and Ben Johnson. Those are going to be the last two people he talks to. Now, when it comes to offensive line talent that he's going to try to acquire, yeah, he's going to lean on Dan Rochar for that. He's going to be like, hey, I need you to tell me that this is the guy that you want to work when you want to bring into this situation to upgrade. Yeah, it's going to be that's naturally going to be where it goes if it happens right. That's a healthy dynamic right there. That's why you brought a grizzled defensive veteran in here, defensive line veteran, and so that when you're right there at the precipice of making a move, you got this guy to lean on to and say, you know what, I was convicted. I became convicted by your conviction. I'm gonna go ahead and make this move. Yeah, that's how it should be.
In that case, because Rochar is actually offensive line coordinator or coach, but
he's talking about Bill.
Will his
Johnson.
Voice be more effective than in free agency?
Bill Anthony's helping you out, talking about Bill Johnson is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, thank you, Bill Johnson. What I'm saying, do you think the coordinators for the offensive line to be more powerful in free agency to build the line and then get the backups? And the defensive line coach is going to be more powerful in the draft to build a draft to help Dennis Allen.
Yeah, I don't think you really. I think trying to measure where they might be more influential, I think they're this is the time that they are most powerful. Either one of those guys, this is when they're most powerful because you're looking to replenish the troops, right? And you brought them in here to help you do it.
And exactly. So that's what I was looking at. I was like, man, I'm just wondering whose voice is gonna be the most heard in those rooms for the next maybe month and a half, 2 months. That would the free agency be the deal breakers, or hey, we got all this information that we're going to decide, and we're going to get all these people on free agency based on what we've done as collective with the coach and, the front office and our scouts, or, hey, this is how you need to run stuff. So let us go out and go grab these cats. You know what I'm saying? And then we can put people behind them so y'all can train them. And not only that we have the OGs, but we got the young Gs coming right behind them to be able to coach them up. So in 2 or 3 years, when y'all finally retire, we got these guys ready to rock and roll, and our coaching tree going to be awesome.
FFG, half this shit is about going out to eat, having drinks in the office, and sitting around watching film together and matching, thoughts and ideas about what you're seeing versus what I'm seeing. That's all it is. At the end of the day is, confirmation, basically is all it is. And it sounds like it's more complicated than it is. It's just football, man. It's just knowing exactly what you want to do. And where it gets complicated is where Ryan Poles takes all that information these guys are getting together and combining and compulating for them and saying, hey, man, this is the perfect scenario for us. Grab these guys here. If you run into some cap casualty situations, these would be the guys that I want you to target because I know what they can bring in here to this building. And if you're talking about actual free agency, you're talking about the trade market, you're talking about the draft, all these conversations are going to be had outside of Ryan Poles and Ian Cunningham. When they get it, it's going to be confirmation that all these guys came together and got. And they're going to pass the information to him. And he's already doing his due diligence on his own looking at this film. And so he's going to either see, all right, man, I was thinking this about that player, but you guys think differently. But, okay, that's cool. So you guys like Jordan Phillips. You really like Jordan Phillips. Or you really like Jalen Travis. That's what he's getting. He's going to get in the room. And me and Kez had a little spat on the show about, Ryan Post needs to be the one that's making these decisions by himself. And I'm just like, no,
he's not making. That's what I'm saying. I'm just wondering whose voice is going to be the loudest now that free agency and the money that we're going to have now that we're clearing up cap space and all that.
I told you, man, from my former coach in Atlanta, he's just like, it's going to be different wherever you go. He just told me the dynamic there. That's it. That's all I know.
And I'm just wondering how it's going to go with Chicago because of the focus on having Caleb Williams here and the new coach and the glorified coaching staff and the money that we have and the position in the draft that we have. Like how Ryan Poles, this job is getting harder and harder for him. And what I see. And so he's probably got one of the toughest jobs in the country to be able to be successful at because he's got a lot of decisions to make. And so I'm just curious about which voice is going to be in his ear the most to affect the team the most going forward. And being a former offensive lineman, I'm thinking Dan Rochar and the way that Ben Johnson is going to want to run his offense, that offense is going to take a large part of free agency. And Dennis Allen, you might get a player or two. We might make a blockbuster trade. But I want you to build to the draft because we have all these teachers here now to build everything you guys want.
FOG it may not be as complicated as we would like to make it be in our heads, man. But I know this, man. At the end of the day, you assemble the kind of people that can help change basically your trajectory. And you have particular flaws on your roster, particular problems with the way you set this up. I agree with you when you say that he has a tough job, man. He's got to attack home runs out the building right now. And so whatever he does, I'm not saying he has a swing for the fence at every single move that he makes. I'm not saying that he has to go for Trey Smith and try to trade for Myles Garrett or nothing. I think that'd be a dummy move, to be honest with you. I think what you have is you assemble the grizzled veterans around you and guys that have been there and done this. And then you take their advice and then you put that MFer in gear and you start making some decisions to really elevate where you are and change the trajectory of where you are. That's what you do. And, to me, that's just a simple, I'm gonna surround myself with a bunch of football people that have been there and done it and know exactly what they're doing. And I'm going to heed their advice and I'm going to go get the pieces that they want to assemble this thing the way it needs to be assembled. And so the GM probably gets more credit than he deserves under the circumstances because he ends up making the last decision at the end of the day. He's going to say whether or not I'm going to take this coach's advice and do this thing, or I'm going to go off and be, a lone cowboy and go in a utility closet and do it by myself. And that'd be a dumbass thing to do. Listen to these coaches, let them have the say so, and assemble this roster the way it needs to be assembled. And that's my take on it. But any closing thoughts on the players that you saw? Anything that stuck out to you when you seen the film? Anything that you want to say about any of that before we get up out of here?
Yeah. I tried to hold my tongue while you was talking. The biggest sleeper is going to be Jordan Phillips. That kid is just raw metal, beating folks down. It's just, if you don't even got to watch his football tape. Watch his wrestling tape, how he's just slamming folks. So if you can actually get this kid in the later rounds, that's probably the sleeper of the draft to me personally. Maffa got to be healthy. That's the only knock I have against him. Stay healthy. Because he's had a lot of little dings and knocks and stuff like that takes him away from being a dynamic runner. Because when he's healthy, it's amazing what you can see about this kid. And if you want the Thunder, who's got lightning in his behind, that's what you want. But I'm just honest, like all the guys that we looked at that, we talked about and, we're going to do research on, there's a lot of different body types, and it's all focused on what the Bears coaching staff is probably going to want to gravitate towards. And that's basically what we've been focusing on. And there's a lot of different, kind of people. I mean, even Chris Paul Jr. I mean, if he ran a 4.4, he'd be the best linebacker in the draft. Straight up. Because his instincts are his tackling ability, his decisiveness.
He's a boss, ain't he?
I'm just saying, people don't look at it like that. Like some of the offensive linemen, like number 72, dude, he was killing the SEC. You don't see that every day. Just killing folks.
You gotta refrain from the K word now.
Oh, he was destroying people on the field, shutting them down. They were not getting in that shell that what Roshar wants to create. So there is a lot of different ways to look at the draft, what they're going to bring in free agency. But what we're giving you is nowhere close to the bargain basement. Oh, you should check this cat out. These are dudes getting slept on left and right by being quality football players. And that's what I want to see, what this coaching staff is actually going to be able to identify, be able to say, I can build off that. And when we go out for the next 5, 10 years, 15 years, we're going to focus in on this kind of stuff because we got young and old. And the old is going to be gone, I'm telling you, by 2028, 2029. All them old dudes you see other than Dennis Allen going to be gone off this team. But all them young replacements getting the education right now. You might as well call it they auditing courses in college to be a professor. Straight up. They getting that kind of level of knowledge.
My last thoughts on this whole show tonight is this, man. And this is something I just want to pass on to you all. And you guys do what you will with what I'm about to tell you. But I think sometimes I'm just as much a consumer of all this content as you are. And FFG is too. We all are. We all consume pretty much the same stuff. We see the same stuff for the most part when it comes to content. And one thing that I would caution people to, and this is why I think we can bridge the gap a little bit over here at the Nomad Network, and that is, the content is so top of the draft, top 20, top 25 centric. You know what I mean? So that every show that you turn on, that's what people want to talk about. The Mason Grahams, the Will Campbells, this and that top part of the draft, that real fat part of the draft that everybody wants to create content from. That's great for people. But understand what we're doing over here is giving you where the meat of this real draft is going to happen at. That's the middle, second, third, and beyond. That's where all the magic happens, like MTV Cribs, and everybody take you in their bedroom. This is where the magic happens. Magic happens mid to late rounds. It's how you can get in here and get these plethora of really, really talented guys that everybody ain't even focused on. I'm here, FFG's here, and this whole entire network here is here to bridge that gap so that you are not so single-mindedly focused on this fat part of the draft that everybody wants to talk about on every damn show. Talk about the talent in this draft. It is unbelievable. It is unbelievable. And I'm here to tell you, this team can get a whole lot effing better. Just focusing on the middle to late rounds of this draft. Just key in on it. Making sure that you got some nice picks in the later part of the draft. You might have to get rid of a player or two to get there. But I am telling you, if these coaches want to go in the direction of I'm identifying this talent here and here and here, and it's later in the draft, then you make moves to get them those picks. Because I'm telling you, as a witness of me watching all this tape, there is some really good football players mid to late rounds in this draft. And I've just put a bunch of them on the screen for you all to go check out. And so I just want to leave you guys with that before I pass it on to FFG for some pleasantry before we get out.
Yeah. This is not the I Bear Witness show to every podcast and professional out there that's pushing an agenda. It ain't. Straight up. We're going to give you what we know, what we see, and what we follow in real life. And that is why we love the Bears, because it's real. You know, they really lose because they make bad decisions. People really lose in life because they make bad decisions. We're hoping that the decisions they made recently will lead to better decisions and coming out on top. And that's what we all try to do in life, come out on top. So I want to give much homage to everybody in the chat. And I'm going to do my kids thing for real. So Anthony, Lass, Foster Covers, my man, Mr. Mayhem, 69, Mr. Charles, Dog, White Ghost, everybody who came out, Paul Rodriguez, BSH.
Foster. Did you mention Foster? My boy Foster showed up. I'm glad to see him here.
Foster Covers. Oh, yeah. I said Foster Covers.
Okay.
Paul Rodriguez. I'm not as ever as B-Shep 23, or however you want to pronounce it. The Jada. Real Bears fan was early in the chat getting down. You know what I'm saying? Aunt Moss. Everybody did their thing tonight. Even legit Packers fan came in here, and I'm not sure why he even show up, but love is love. Baron is 4-5. AC Adam, Ralph Love. Howie our Bears, one of the first cats up in here today. Sophisticated Thoughts. The Nod started off jumping. You know what I'm saying? And Chris or Bear fan Goomba, see you on Sunday. Thank everybody. And we would love to hear more from you. Everybody out there listening, join in. Give us everything you got every week, because it's about y'all that make this so special. It ain't about nobody else. Trust me.
It's about the community, man. It's about the community that we're building over here, man. If you all, I know you guys appreciate it, man. I know you all appreciate it. Nobody has to come and tell me, hey, Nomad, man, I love what y'all doing over here, man. Keep doing it. I know you can tell me that, and I appreciate it. But I know you all receive it. And the fact that you got somebody and a network out here in the Bears ecosphere that's willing to put in the work to give you guys, I'm not putting out all 22 and doing all that kind of thing. That's just added to the work that I have to do. I don't have time to break down all 22 and show you guys clips of that. Number one, number two, because I don't know how to edit video. That's another thing. But that's all nothing, man. I don't know how to edit video. But even if I did, I wouldn't. I already spend too much time watching the video. I don't have time to edit it too. You know what I mean? It's just not enough time in a day for me. I'm constantly making sure that I know what I'm talking about when we come on here in this network, and everybody that you see on the screen knows what they're talking about when it comes to these players. And I know that everybody watches the fat part of the draft and all the content creators that talk about this stuff. That's great for them, but I'm not lazy. I'm willing to put in the time and effort to make sure that you guys get to see some of these guys that ain't nobody talking about. Great football players, absolutely great football players that nobody's talking about, because they want to talk about Will Campbell and Mason Graham all the time and Trey Smith and all that kind of stuff. That's neither here nor there with me, because I got work to do as soon as this show is over. That's just how it goes over here, man. And it's a labor of love for me. And I love you guys, all the new subscribers, man. Mwah! Love y'all, man. Keep it coming. We're going to keep the daily content pumping out. We're going to keep the shorts coming out, identifying these players, putting that stuff out there. We're going to keep it all coming. And we're going to have a show coming up Sunday. What is it? Nomad at Night. And my guy, Nick, Bears fan Goomba, is going to be our special guest on there. I might start putting some more guests on the show, but I've intentionally not been going out and looking for guests to really bolster the the stuff on the content over here. I think we can hold our own, and we don't have to go searching for guests. I know that I know football well enough that I don't need somebody to come on here and tell me what is and what isn't. You know what I mean? I put in the work to know it. So I don't need nobody to come in here and confirm anything with me. We bring a guest on here just to have a conversation and just to get another point of view. Just know that. Big names don't mean nothing to me. We have some big names on here. It's great. But we don't need that to sustain what we're doing over here. We know football over here on this side. Guarantee you that. We put in the work to make sure it happens, man. So hope you all enjoyed it. Anybody that's watching and listening, if you haven't subscribed to the channel and you want to come in here and start having some input on what you're seeing on the screen and what we're talking about, all you got to do is hit the subscribe button. We are really trying to bust this channel on out, man. We're really trying to make sure we give you guys everything you need. And if you have the means and you're willing to help us out, become a member of the channel, man. I would really like to see us start getting some more members. And if you start doing that kind of thing and helping out in that department, helping us pay these bills, all it's going to do is create more room to make more content. And so whatever you see so far is nothing compared to what we're going to be able to do. If you grab a membership and chip in $4.99 a month, we're going to be able to do way more. Way more. Just know that. Just know that every dollar counts over here. At the end of the month, when these bills have to be paid, every single dollar counts. So I would just encourage you guys to grab a membership if you can. If you can't, we still love you, man. We understand. But with that being said, I want to leave you with these famous words. And go check out every last one of these players. Go check them out. And if we get back on another show and you want to hear me reiterate, if you've seen a guy up here and you forgot who he is and you need a name, where he's from and all that kind of stuff, just let me know and I'll put him on the screen so you can go check him out. But make sure you go check those players out. I'm telling you, I only grab them and put them on the screen and show you guys if they're fit and what we want to do. But with that being said, I want to leave you with these famous words. If you can think it and you can see it, there's no reason in the world why you cannot absolutely manifest it. Do not, and I repeat, do not be a prisoner of your own mind. But with that being said, we are